Chapter 2068, Lin Qiongsheng's spirit. The gigantic sword was vibrating loudly as it collided with the gigantic hand. Purple energies exploded, steel whined and shrieked. Pei Donglai's gigantic purple hand shook violently. His lightning energies turned into 8,000 sharp blades and moved towards the gigantic sword. What a terrifying attack, 8,000 purple lightning bolts, each as sharp as blades. That attack should kill any high-level emperor, thought the wondering crowd. Pei Donglai was furious. He knew who his enemy was when he saw the sword. When Pei Donglai was at the top of the Huangqi layer, he was third on the ranking list. Even though it wasn't as good as Lin Feng, he's a great emperor now, so he should still be stronger than Lin Feng. How could he lose, the onlookers wondered. His 8,000 thunders streaked across the skies, blades of living lightning. The gigantic sword looked indestructible and unstoppable, and contained a foreboding strength that absorbed the force of the earth and sky. Nothing could stop it. Die, shouted Pei Donglai explosively. His 8,000 threads of purple qi condensed and moved towards the gigantic sword. Thunder broke, and shook everything as the point of collision exploded. The gigantic sword finally stopped moving forwards. Pei Donglai released more lightning energies, as he turned into a gigantic figure and shot towards Lin Feng. However, at the same time, a black cloak flickered and turned into 3,000 illusions. Pei Donglai had the sensation millions of people were attacking him. He felt great pressure. Pei Donglai's face stiffened. The gigantic man glanced around. That wasn't Lin Feng, it was a woman. Piss off, shouted Pei Donglai explosively. Gigantic purple hands struck out all around him. However, they all exploded. A hand crashed onto his gigantic man and it exploded, forcing Pei Donglai to reappear as he was hurled back. However, the illusions surrounded him and punched him. His face turned deathly pale. When the strong cultivators of the Pei clan saw that, their faces changed drastically. Their saint emperors had surrounded Champion University and then had come back. Since that moment, their saint emperors hadn't shown up again. However, at this moment, the qi which was attacking Pei Donglai was a saint emperor's qi. No. The crowd heard someone scream. There was a massive explosion in the distance. The 3,000 illusions condensed, and Pei Donglai disappeared. He was dead. The faces of the members of the Pei clan turned deathly pale. They were staring at the woman and Lin Feng. He shouted furiously, "Lin Feng, Pei Donglai wanted a fair fight against you and you plotted against him, bastard." "The Pei clan is really funny," retorted Lin Feng, glancing at those people. "How amusing. A great emperor fighting against an emperor is a fair fight. A saint emperor tried to kill me, that's also fine for the Pei clan. Emperors of the Pei clan don't even dare come out. Saint emperors come to find me, that's your concept of fairness?" said Lin Feng mockingly. He flitted away and smiled at Tang Yu. "When I become a saint emperor, I'll go to the Pei clan and we'll talk about fairness." His voice resonated far away. The crowd understood that Lin Feng wanted to destroy the Pei clan and the Ji clan. He wasn't playing. Fairness? The Pei clan had sent saint emperors to surround Champion University, and now the Pei clan's emperors didn't even dare come out anymore. Their words were ridiculous. Pei Donglai had been killed. The Pei clan was mortified. A high-level emperor was killing all the most talented cultivators of the Pei clan. It was a tragedy for the Pei clan. People like Pei Donglai were too rare. The great imperial palace was also affected. Pei Donglai was a member of the great imperial palace, but Lin Feng didn't think about the great imperial palace at all. He didn't care about them and their list. However, Lin Feng didn't even think about the great imperial palace. He only thought of the Pei clan. The Pei clan and the Ji clan were going to regret crossing him. Yu had almost been killed. Meng Qing had been taken away. Nobody could imagine how Lin Feng felt. He would never forget that they had surrounded him to kill him, including the Snow clan. 3 great emperors and 20 emperors of the Ji clan had fallen, and 2 great emperors and 7 emperors of the Pei clan had fallen in one day. Lin Feng had planned this massacre for a while. The Pei clan and the Ji clan were infuriated again. Lin Feng simply hid once more. At the same time, Champion University stopped recruiting people from the Pei clan and the Ji clan. If the Ji clan and the Pei clan dared attack a student of Champion University, the ancestors would personally punish them. The holy city was astonished, while the Ji clan and the Pei clan remained silent. They were ancient holy clans, this was pouring salt on their wounds. Champion University had publicly announced that they would not recruit students from the Ji clan and the Pei clan anymore. How humiliating. The people of the Holy City understood that Champion University was on Lin Feng's side, and the 2 clans might even disappear from the Holy City someday if Lin Feng became extremely strong. The Ji clan and the Pei clan were being jointly humiliated by Champion University and Lin Feng. What could they do? And what if Lin Feng became extremely strong? They would be destroyed. However, Lin Feng didn't care about all those conjectures. After he left, he went to see the ancestors, and they talked about a few things nobody knew about. At Chi Tian Holy Town, even though the atmosphere was less lively, there were still some strong cultivators interested in the historical remains. People still wondered who the chained cultivators in the historical remains were. Lin Feng arrived back at the Holy Spirit Dynasty. When they saw Lin Feng and Tang Yu come back safe and sound, the dynasty were pleasantly surprised. Lin Feng was the father of one of their future holy emperors, and Tang Yu was also an important person to them. Lin Feng was crouching down in a courtyard. In front of him was a cute little baby. He was 2 years old, and his eyes kept twinkling. He was wearing a little robe. He looked at Lin Feng and then at the holy emperor. "Xiongsheng, don't you want to see your parents? They're in front of you now," smiled the holy emperor. The little boy walked up to Lin Feng, pointed at him with his little finger, and asked, "You're my father?" "Yes," Lin Feng smiled. "Oh, if you're my father, then I must have inherited your spirit." "Show me your spirit," said the little boy, looking pensive. Lin Feng was a little surprised and smiled. "Show me your spirit first, and I'll show you mine." "All right," said the little boy. An endless number of little dragons appeared behind him. When Lin Feng saw that, he was astonished. Xiongsheng was already a Tian-level cultivator. His spirit had awakened. Lin Feng had cold sweats. He was even embarrassed to show his spirit. Chapter 2069, A Battle in Juetian Mountain. "I released my spirit, show me yours," demanded the little boy. He looked very serious. "All right, I will show you," Lin Feng smiled. A gigantic 9-headed dragon appeared behind him. When Tang Yu saw that, she smiled widely. The little boy smiled and said, "Father, your spirit is the same as mine. But why do I have a whole bunch of dragons, and you don't?" Lin Feng shook his head and smiled, "You must be more talented than me." Lin Feng recalled his spirit, and the baby boy giggled and recalled his spirit too. He looked at his mother and said, "Maybe my spirit is different because of my mother." "Xiongsheng," said Tang Yu, hugging the boy. Lin Xiongsheng looked curious and said, "Mother, I inherited both your spirits, will I become extremely strong?" "Yes, you'll be the strongest one." Tang Yu smiled. "The Holy Emperor told me that I would become a strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit Dynasty." "He's right, you'll become a Holy Emperor," said Tang Yu, caressing his head. "All right, I'll become a Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit Dynasty," said the little boy. They were chatting happily. The little boy was happy to finally meet his father. He wanted to learn spells from his father, but Lin Feng deflected the requests. The dynasty knew how to raise children. They quickly gain power, but they retain the heart of a newborn. They practiced pure cultivation. The Holy Spirit dynasty did all they could to raise Lin Qiongsheng. He would learn the strongest spells of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Then, after breaking through to the Huang Qi layer, he would obtain powerful ancient holy scriptures. Lin Feng didn't hurry to transmit spells, skills, and techniques to Lin Qiongsheng. He had a terrifying spirit, and in the future, it would fuse together with his blood. He'd learn cosmic energies, and then he'd become like Chu Chun Chiu, able to study the sky-absorbing scriptures and the celestial evolution holy scriptures. Ancient holy clans raised children the same way. Many geniuses only started practicing cultivation for real after having breaking through to the Huang Qi layer, when they started traveling and fighting. Many geniuses also knew secret skills and techniques, and hid their social status when traveling. They stopped being incognito after having become great emperors. Of course, truly incredible geniuses couldn't do that because they needed to battle a lot to become a great emperor, and if they were incredible, everybody noticed them. Lin Feng was extremely talented, but he was still only a high-level emperor. He had started practicing cultivation when he was 15, he hadn't been as lucky as these geniuses. He had always only relied on himself. Lin Feng spent some days with the baby, then he went to the Holy Emperor and transmitted the Holy Spirit natural godly skill to him. Of course, it was less perfect than when a saint transmitted them to people. They'd have to rely on themselves to study it. Lin Feng also gave him some powerful scriptures. Even though the Holy Spirit dynasty had existed for a very long time and didn't lack ancient scriptures, Lin Feng had obtained some great ones. He had too many though, so he transmitted those useless ones to the Holy Emperor. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't going to forget that the Holy Emperor had helped him. He hadn't just come for Qiongsheng. Lin Feng was lucky. The Holy Emperor told him some good news. 3 days from now, the Holy Jade Princess of the ancient Jade dynasty would fight against a talented woman. Many people wanted to watch. The Holy Jade Princess and her opponent were both incredible. Lin Feng knew that the Holy Jade Princess was extremely strong. She had some mysterious techniques, and also knew some incredible illusion techniques and spells. Among the 8 geniuses who had surrounded them, the Holy Jade Princess, Ji Chang and Zhuo Qing were the strongest. This time, the Holy Jade Princess wanted to fight against that girl because they wanted to try and break through to the Di Qi layer. Lin Feng didn't care. He had killed Ji Chang even though he had broken through to the Di Qi layer. Even if the Holy Jade Princess was stronger than Ji Chang back then, after having broken through to the Di Qi layer, he had become stronger than her. Lin Feng knew there were going to be many strong cultivators at the battle, including many strong cultivators from the ancient Jade dynasty. If he killed a holy woman, the ancient Jade dynasty wouldn't forgive him. 3 days passed quickly. Lin Feng played with his son before finally leaving the Holy Spirit dynasty alone. He went to a mountain called Juetian Mountain, where the Holy Spirit dynasty had agreed to fight against the woman. Lin Feng understood that some strong cultivators of her dynasty were going to come too. He also knew that people from the Holy Spirit dynasty were going to come. He had decided to come alone though. Not many people knew he had returned to the Holy Spirit dynasty, as the Holy Emperor had concealed that from most of the people in Qi Tian Holy Town. Lin Feng had disappeared for a year, and the Holy Emperor didn't want anything to happen to him. Just like in the Holy City, many people in Qi Tian Holy Town thought Lin Feng was still dead. There were actually 2 peaks at Juetian Mountain, facing one another. A beautiful woman was standing on each peak. They both looked celestial and extraordinary. One of them was the Holy Jade Princess. The other one was a beautiful woman from Goblin Spirit University. The second woman had a genuine phoenix bloodline, and was the strongest cultivator of her university. She was much stronger than Crazy Bull, and also a champion. Goblin University had 2 champions. It would have been the same at Champion University if Ji Chang hadn't died, both he and Lin Feng would have been champions. But Lin Feng didn't care about being a champion. Celestial Godly University also had 2 champions, Chu Chunqiu and Ning Cheng. Such a thing hadn't happened in a very long time. Many strong cultivators were in attendance and watching the 2 women, the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao, who was stronger. Lin Feng arrived and landed atop a mountain. There were many people around him. They were all staring at the 2 women, nobody paid attention to him. It seems that everyone is interested in this battle. Lin Feng glanced around, seeing strong cultivators everywhere. That was why they hadn't organized the battle on a battle stage, as there wouldn't have been enough space for the audience. "It's going to start," said someone next to Lin Feng. Everybody stared at the 2 fighters, remaining silent save for the soughing of the wind. That wind became stronger and stronger, and began to whistle. The Holy Jade Princess clothes fluttered about her. At the same time, a terrifying strength filled the air. A rosy mist appeared all around, containing a powerful intent. Scorching hot flames appeared inside. This was Yi Tianjiao's intent. "What a strong woman," said Lin Feng. Many geniuses could be jealous of that level of intent. Yi Tianjiao jumped into the air, and at the same time, a phoenix appeared, the air beginning to burn as embers appeared around her. "The Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao will definitely become Saint Emperors someday. They will become symbols of their generation," whispered someone. These 2 women were extremely strong, it was a rare thing to see. Chapter 2070, Wu Ju and Wu Qing. The 2 female cultivators started fighting, qi boiling around them. The 2 women's speed was incredible. The Holy Jade Princess controlled Illusion Dao intent, and at that moment, she had the advantage. However, many people didn't see it that way. Even though Yi Tianjiao was being defensive, the crowd realized that she was releasing a terrifying phoenix, and a phoenix territory had appeared. Phoenixes could burn anything. Even the clothes of the Holy Jade Princess started burning. The Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao are extremely talented. They are among the strongest people of Qi Tian Holy Town. "I wonder which one will become the most famous," someone wondered aloud. "We'll see." "Look, Wu Ju is here," said someone, pointing at a high mountain. There was someone wearing white clothes there, looking confident and at ease. He was alone, nobody around him, and cut quite an impressive figure. Wu Ju. Lin Feng knew many people in the Holy City, but not in the other cities. When he heard them, it seemed that Wu Ju was even more impressive than Yi Tianjiao and the Holy Jade Princess. Wu Ju has the potential to become the first master of the Dark Night region. Apparently, he's going to start traveling. Saint Emperor Wu Ju only had 1 child. He hopes Wu Ju can have more children to keep the bloodline healthy. Maybe that he wants to have a child with one of those 2 girls, that's why he came here, conjectured someone near Lin Feng. However, nobody said how strong he was. Master Wu Qing was the first prince of the Dark Night region back in the days, thought Lin Feng. Prince, master, all those were respectful terms. Great emperors and emperors could be called prince or master, like Master Me back in the days. It could also mean anything, it depended on the region. In the Dark Night region, being the first master meant being the strongest cultivator. It was even better than being a champion. Champions had the potential to become celestial emperors, and maybe saint emperors if they didn't die. But in the region, only 1 person was called master. Wu Ju had the potential to replace Prince Wu Qing and become the first master. And the same existed for women, there was a first lady of the Dark Night region. Wu Ju had come to see the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao. The competition will be fierce for Wu Ju. Lin Feng, and the 8 cultivators who fought against him, well, he killed 5 of them, but 3 are still left. Apart from Lin Feng, Chu Chunqiu could also be a competitor. Even though he's not famous in Qi Tian Holy Town, he also went onto the Holy Way stage. He didn't sit on the Holy Imperial throne though, which means Lin Feng has more potential than him. People kept chatting about the geniuses of the region. There could only be one master and one lady in the region. Everybody knew about that in the Dark Knight region. At that moment, the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao's battle was getting explosive. The Holy Jade Princess attacks were getting more and more terrifying. Her mysterious Dao power looked real, as did her illusions. Her powers were mysterious. Yi Tianjiao didn't change anything, her phoenix kept flickering. Finally, fissures appeared, explosion sound spread in the air, an ocean of flames appeared. The atmosphere was filled with destructive qi. The Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao landed on the ground again and looked at each other. Their qi kept increasing. "You are both so beautiful, why fight?" said someone at that moment. The crowd was startled. Wu Ju had spoken. 9 broken illusions appeared in a whistle of movement, all Wu Ju's silhouettes and very lifelike. He landed between the 2 women and smiled, "You are both so beautiful, come to my palace, we can learn from each other, but we can also chat about life." When the crowd heard Wu Ju, they thought he was very audacious, and also carefree. "Wu Ju, you want both of us to go to your palace?" asked the Holy Jade Princess, smiling icily. "Indeed." Wu Ju nodded. "You're not very lucky," said Yi Tianjiao icily. The atmosphere became much hotter. "Since I dared talk, I don't mind," Wu Ju smiled. The crowd frowned. That guy wanted both of those 2 incredible women. In 1 year, the Holy Jade Princess had become much stronger. Yi Tianjiao wasn't weak either. "Thanks for coming," said the Holy Jade Princess, smiling coldly. Then, she jumped away, her mysterious Dao strength rolling out provocatively. His soul started shaking. "Your understanding of deep abstruse Dao has increased," Wu Ju smiled indifferently. He waved his hand, and 81 gigantic hands appeared. They all contained a different type of explosive power, deadly, destructive. The Holy Jade Princess' deep abstruse Dao looked real. It looked terrifying. "Wu Ju's strength is impressive," the crowd observed. Deep abstruse Dao power was incredible and destructive. But Wu Ju's attack was even more brutal, it could block the Jade Princess' deep abstruse Dao. He could kill people with invisible and intangible attacks. He could already easily kill ordinary high-level emperors. Yi Tianjiao also moved, she didn't mind joining hands with the Holy Jade Princess to fight against him, he was famous and was known as someone extremely strong. The atmosphere became even more oppressive. The 2 women released even more terrifying attacks. However, Wu Ju remained as motionless as a mountain, and the manifested hands didn't break. Finally, he smiled and said, "You are so beautiful. Don't be mean. Come and have a walk by the lake with me. We can talk about love." Wu Ju released even more aggressive energies, which bore down on Yi Tianjiao. "Since there are 2 beautiful women, you could give me one," said someone intervened at that moment. The crowd was astonished. Who else was provoking the 2 women? Lin Feng jumped forwards. The crowd frowned. Who was this guy? Lin Feng was incognito. He couldn't show himself, especially if he wanted to take the Holy Jade Princess away. Wu Ju and the 2 women saw someone arrive among them, Wu Ju the most surprised. He wasn't the only audacious man there. "If you want to talk about love with the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao, you must be strong enough," Wu Ju smiled. A gigantic hand appeared and moved towards Lin Feng. All sorts of strength surrounded him. "Of course." Lin Feng smiled back. He released deadly cosmic energies to counter Wu Ju's hand attack, multiple explosions manifested before the hand was ripped completely apart. The gigantic explosion made everybody's hearts pound violently. Another beast had arrived. Chapter 2071, Indecent Provocations. Lin Feng's punch astonished the whole crowd. Wu Ju's attack was extremely explosive, he could resist both Yi Tianjiao and the Holy Jade Princess at the same time, meaning he was extraordinarily strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared talk freely about romance with them. Lin Feng was still walking forward slowly. The sounds of their auras clashing kept exploding about him. The three fighters had already dispersed. Wu Ju studied Lin Feng as he smiled. "Which one do you like, Your Excellency?" "The Holy Jade Princess is pure as jade and clean as ice, she's noble and pure. I want to get on intimate terms with her," Lin Feng smiled back. The Holy Jade Princess smiled icily. These two men were truly indecent. "Who are you, Your Excellency?" "You want to get on intimate terms with me, but I am afraid it won't be possible," the Holy Jade Princess said icily. "Holy Princess, you're amusing," Lin Feng smiled. He continued walking towards her. Wu Ju's silhouette flickered, and he landed before Lin Feng, saying, "Since you don't want to give me the two women, let me see if you are eligible to get intimate with the Holy Princess." Dao power swelled and surrounded Lin Feng, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. The wind reached every single part of his body. Wu Ju was bald and his head polished shiny as he smiled broadly. He jumped forward and raised his fists. Lin Feng looked confident and at ease, and didn't stop. He condensed cosmic energies into empty space energy and moved towards the punches. Lin Feng's fist was dazzling as he kept countering Wu Ju's attacks. 5 gigantic fingers appeared, they looked as hard as mountains and oppressed Lin Feng. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to collapse. Lin Feng's physical strength was incredible, but those energies were really oppressive, and could easily destroy an ordinary high-level emperor. Wu Ju had the potential to become the first master of the region, he was extremely strong without a doubt. Lin Feng raised his hand and a sword streaked across the sky. It cut apart the gigantic hand, shattering it loudly. In one strike, Lin Feng had destroyed it. Wu Ju was now standing in front of Lin Feng, his strength condensing with terrible power that was making the air vibrate. A moment before, when Wu Ju had fought against the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao, he hadn't used his full strength. He was even stronger than the Watchers had believed. However, Lin Feng also released and condensed strength. His cosmic energies erupted in pulses of power. At the same time, Lin Feng released ancient imprints, and a word appeared, "Mourn." The power shook the earth and heavens. Ancient words, is that an incantation? The Watchers were astonished. What kind of strength was that? Surprisingly, Lin Feng dared use that kind of strength against Wu Ju's explosive attacks. Among people of his generation, few people dared fight against Wu Ju, and right now Lin Feng hadn't even used Dao power yet. When Lin Feng and Wu Ju's powers collided, some parts of Juetian Mountain exploded. Clouds of smoke and dust appeared, forcing some people to fly away coughing. The Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao both looked astonished. Lin Feng and Wu Ju were both emperors, like them, but the two women had no choice but to admit the two men were much stronger than they were. Initially, people had come here to watch the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tianjiao's battle, but now Wu Ju and that stranger were drawing all the attention. Wu Ju and Lin Feng separated, both somewhat surprised. Wu Ju was the most surprised, amazed that someone could compete with him. Lin Feng's cosmic energies were near unstoppable, and his punches were as heavy as mountains. It was difficult to defend against them. Lin Feng was also astonished, because he knew how strong he was. He had incredible cosmic energies and an incredible physical strength, and at the same level, not many people could compete with him, but Wu Ju was one who could. His Dao power made even Lin Feng feel very uncomfortable. Unfortunately for Wu Ju, Lin Feng's physical strength was simply too incredible. He had had to withdraw. Lin Feng understood that Wu Ju didn't have an undeserved reputation now, and definitely had the potential to become the master of the region. He could compete with the strongest geniuses of the Huangqi layer. Wu Ju looked at Lin Feng and smiled indifferently. I really want to know who my enemy was. You know it's me, so it's good. You don't need to know my name. Lin Feng smiled back. Wu Ju's eyes twinkled and he nodded, you are strong enough to get intimate with the holy princess. She's yours. Wu Ju is insolent, he dares say the princess is that guy's, as if she were his property. Who does he think the holy jade princess is, said someone speechlessly when they heard Wu Ju. Wu Ju is free and unrestrained. He doesn't want elders to follow him, or maybe Wu Ju's holy palace doesn't want the elders to influence him while he's traveling. At that moment, Wu Ju looked at Yi Tianjiao and smiled, since the holy jade princess is his, you are mine. Let's go to the holy palace together. We'll consummate our love. I'm not interested, said Yi Tianjiao icily. Wu Ju had no respect for her. Consummate their love? How insolent. Was he talking about having a child? I will definitely take you to my holy palace, Wu Ju said calmly. He sounded firm and stubborn. Lin Feng landed before the holy jade princess and smiled, you're so beautiful. I've always loved you. Finally, we're going to be on intimate terms. You can't refuse. People were sweating coldly. Those two geniuses had come to the mountain, disturbed the two beautiful women while they were battling, and now they were making indecent remarks. It was difficult to imagine. The holy jade princess smiled coldly. Don't worry. I don't harm women, Lin Feng told her, smiling indulgently. He looked aloof and arrogant. The holy jade princess released her deep abstruse Tao power in an instant. An illusion appeared in his mind as the energies were reaching for him. She was so fast, pissed off at his sexual harassment. A gigantic mourn word appeared, Lin Feng closed his eyes and struck out with both hands. Powerful destructive energies rolled out, and the deep abstruse Tao power broke apart. The holy jade princess was still moving towards him, however. Lin Feng sensed the strong wind surround him. Her deep abstruse Tao power was terrifying. Even with his eyes closed, the illusions didn't disperse. The holy princess attack messed with his perceptions. Lin Feng continued moving and punched out again with thunderous force. He used his full strength, and the holy jade princess was driven backwards. She wanted to escape, but Lin Feng raised his hand again and a golden web appeared around her. Her expression changed, and she desperately started releasing as much strength as she could to break the web. However, Lin Feng moved faster than the eye could follow, he was even faster than her. Holy princess, don't abandon me. Lin Feng smiled. The holy jade princess' cold smile had already disappeared as she shouted furiously, you're insolent. She released her deep abstruse Tao strength again, but a gigantic hand appeared and an implacable strength surrounded her. She couldn't move fast enough. Lin Feng landed in front of her again and grabbed her hand with one hand and her waist with the other, stunning everyone with his audacity. Lin Feng lowered his head, his lips moving towards hers. Her face turned deathly pale. This man dared assault her sexually in front of so many people. Chapter 2072, Capture the Holy Woman, Let me go, shouted the holy jade princess icily. At that moment, Lin Feng's left arm was around her waist, his hand was on her bottom. He moved his right hand to her breasts. If he wanted to, he could easily kill her. You're in my arms, how could I abandon you? Lin Feng smiled. He started walking away, intending to leave with her. What an incredible guy. Wu Ju was stupefied when he saw Lin Feng's uninhibited actions. Insolent, shouted someone icily. Some of the bystanders rose up into the air. The holy jade princess and Yi Tianjiao both had terrifying backgrounds. Lin Feng and Wu Ju were harassing the two women, and initially, their people hadn't gotten involved. Such things were unavoidable on the path of cultivation and they had to deal with such things themselves. But now the two women had lost control over the situation and these men were humiliating them. A few great emperors appeared in front of Lin Feng and ordered him icily, let her go. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. He was holding the Holy Jade Princess firmly. She felt humiliated, her face was deathly pale. "If you don't want her to die, let me pass," replied Lin Feng indifferently, then continued walking forward. Everybody was startled at his insane actions. Surprisingly, he dared despise the strong cultivators of the ancient Jade dynasty. What an insolent bastard! A great emperor released his qi, the wind began to whistle around him. However, Lin Feng grunted icily, raised his hand and bombarded the Holy Jade Princess body with cosmic energies. She groaned with pain and coughed up blood, her face paling. When the crowd saw that, many shuddered in fear. This guy was decisive and cruel. He even dared attack a beautiful woman. The Holy Jade Princess is pure as jade and clean as ice, flawless and noble. If I can't get on intimate terms with her, then I'll destroy her, Lin Feng said to those ancient jade cultivators with a careless smile. The strong cultivators of the ancient Jade dynasty were flummoxed, they had thought that just showing up would be enough for him to give up. When they heard his reply, they were really shocked. How come this guy was so insolent? "You want to die?" swore the leader of the group icily. "I don't mind dying with the Holy Princess." Lin Feng smiled broadly. He continued moving forwards. The ancient Jade cultivators looked glum. They chased after Lin Feng, wanting to see who dared act this insolently and kidnap the Holy Jade Princess. "Aren't you afraid that I'll kill her?" asked Lin Feng, turning his head to glance back at them. "If you dare kill her, you'll die too." Those people couldn't listen to Lin Feng without doing anything, so of course they wanted to chase him. "Alright, follow me then," Lin Feng smiled. He continued flying away. When the crowd saw that, they were amused despite themselves. This day had been even more fun than they had thought it'd be. Wu Ju didn't act insolently, he really wants a child with Yi Tianjiao. He can't go too far. That guy though, he's cruel and crazy. He kidnapped her. The gossips began to wag their tongues. Who was he? He could compete with Wu Ju in terms of strength, and he was dauntless. He had even kidnapped the Holy Jade Princess. Even Wu Ju didn't dare act that insolently, but this guy had. Was he simply too self-confident? Lin Feng flew at full speed, the air shrieking about him. However, the group of great emperors chasing him wasn't any slower than he was. Lin Feng saw a lake appear in front of him, and smiled icily. Lin Feng accelerated and dove into the lake. At the same time, he released a special kind of qi, his spirit world qi. The great emperors following him frowned and accelerated. They released their godly awarenesses and smiled coldly. Did Lin Feng think he could escape by entering the lake? There was a flurry of popping sound. Lin Feng had cloned himself, hundreds of his silhouettes appeared. The great emperors saw it all with their godly awareness. More clones continued appearing. The clones surrounding him started moving in every direction. The ancient Jade strong cultivators above the lake were stunned. Did Lin Feng think he could escape? Ridiculous. One of them released a terrifying qi. However, a great imperial weapon appeared in Lin Feng's hand, blocking her power with an explosive force. The clones didn't vanish. Humph. One of the women cultivators of the ancient Jade dynasty released even more strength. Her attack had been the one blocked by the great imperial weapon. Waves of water crashed in every direction, and clones exploded one after another. When they all disappeared, the strong cultivators of the ancient Jade dynasty swallowed. How had he done that? They had watched him with their godly awareness, and yet the princess and Lin Feng had disappeared. Disperse. Let's check the surrounding area, said the leader of the group, pulling a long face. They separated quickly. Very quickly, they chased after the clones who had fled in every direction. They destroyed them easily, but quickly realized that they were all clones. What's going on? One of them asked feebly. They had already chased all the clones who were outside, destroying dozens of them easily, so where was he? How had he disappeared? After a short time, the ancient jade cultivators came back and looked down at the lake, glancing at one another and grimaced as their faces paled. Had they lost their holy princess? "What do we do?" asked one of them. They were panicking. They would have never thought they would lose their holy princess, especially in front of the whole crowd of them. She had been kidnapped before their own eyes by a cultivator of the Huangqi layer. Nobody replied. They were terrified of the consequences. At the same time, Lin Feng had changed his clothes and mask, and now reappeared in Qi Tian Holy Town. He looked relaxed. Those people from Qi Tian Holy Town were too self-confident. He had just used an ordinary great imperial weapon to get rid of them. In other words, he hadn't lost anything. Lin Feng had returned to the dynasty already. He was in his own courtyard and entered his spirit world. The Holy Jade Princess was still there. There was no portal in or out, and Lin Feng could appear there as he wished. She was shocked as she asked, "Who are you? Where are we? Holy woman, don't you remember me anymore?" Lin Feng replied emotionlessly, walking over to her. Her face stiffened and she blurted out, "If you dare rape me, the ancient Jade dynasty won't let you off. You really think you're pure as jade and clean as ice, pure and noble?" Lin Feng smiled mockingly. He raised his hand and took off his mask. The Holy Jade Princess' face turned deathly pale. Lin Feng. The Holy Jade Princess was horrified. Lin Feng. A pervert would have raped her. Lin Feng wanted to kill her. However, she tried to remain calm as she swiftly said, "Lin Feng, no matter what you want, I will give it to you. You can even make love to me if you want. We can cooperate. I can even become your wife. What do you think?" She was smart. She knew she wasn't strong enough to compete with Lin Feng and she didn't want to die, so she tried everything she could. "Nah, too troublesome. I'll use you as a demon puppet. That way, I'll make love to you if I want to, I will even be able to control the ancient Jade dynasty using you. You'll become my slave," Lin Feng said icily. The Holy Jade Princess grimaced horribly. A demon puppet. When she heard that, she realized her life was going to become a nightmare. "You prefer making me turn into a walking corpse than deflowering me," the Holy Jade Princess smiled seductively. An illusion appeared, she lifted her dress, her white thighs appeared. Lin Feng remained stoic. She was staring at him, she even opened her cleavage. A terrifying demon light penetrated into her brain, and her face turned even paler. Lin Feng wasn't going to let her off. He was extremely determined, she couldn't tempt him. Chapter 2073, Newborn. The Holy Jade Princess had disappeared. Many people in Qi Tian Holy Town were astonished. There was an undercurrent in Qi Tian Holy Town related to her vanishing. People were chatting in a restaurant. A young master disappeared, that girl disappeared. How many people have disappeared in Qi Tian Holy Town? I don't know exactly anymore. Between 80 and 90 people, I guess. All those people have something in common, they are all talented, and they're all high-level emperors. I wonder who dares act that arrogantly. They're all specially related to some geniuses of powerful groups. The leaders of those groups are all, at least, celestial emperors, some of them even have saint emperors. The ancient Jade dynasty's princess was kidnapped in front of many people by a perverted young man. Maybe nobody had thought an emperor would be able to kidnap her in front of everyone. They don't even know who it was. Everybody kept chatting. If Lin Feng knew what they were talking about, he would be extremely surprised. There were members of the dynasties of Qi Tian Holy Town, and from some universities. They were from the most powerful groups of the Dark Knight region. However, there were more ancient holy clans in the Dark Knight region than dynasties. Ancient holy clans weren't at the top of the region. Recently, many young people from ancient clans had disappeared. Many people started thinking that Lin Feng had captured the Holy Jade Princess. As all those people were chatting, Qin Gan, the Tianxi Holy Emperor, and other people were gathered before an altar. There were gigantic pillars around the altar, a black mist surrounding them. Atop each pillar was a high-level emperor, soul strength emerging from their third eyes and moving towards the person standing in the center of the room. He looked bestial, his face extremely white and small flames around him. The terrifying soul strength surrounded him. After a short time, the faces of the younger people present distorted. When they released their last threads of soul strength, they died. Their souls were destroyed. The bestial young man on the altar opened his mouth and absorbed their strength, looking drunk. He suddenly opened his eyes, and a gloomy qi invaded the atmosphere. Even though he was just a high-level emperor, he didn't look at even saint emperors respectfully. 81 of them, how's your soul now? Qin Gan asked the young man. That young man was the saint they had brought from the saints' world, Saint Tianhun. They were feeding his soul with high-level emperor's souls, sacrificing the young people to him. His body and soul were improving. Nobody would have thought that all the young people from ancient holy clans who had disappeared had been kidnapped by these holy emperors. Not bad. It's the only way, replied Saint Tianhun calmly. The lives of 81 geniuses had been used to feed him. As long as it was useful for him, they would keep sacrificing others to him. So, master, said Qin Gan. Don't worry, I will do what you've asked me. You may all choose 9 people and I'll transmit some powerful ancient techniques to them. You may also choose 1 person and I'll transmit holy techniques to them. Regarding you guys, we'll see about that in the future, Saint Tianhun said indifferently. They were all cooperating with him. Saint Tianhun wouldn't transmit all he had to these people, though. Otherwise, he'd be useless. The dynasties understood that, so they cooperated step by step. Who is the strongest shrine these days in the continent of the 9 clouds? Asked Saint Tianhun, as if he had thought of something. The Fortune Shrine, I guess, replied Qin Gan calmly. Saint Tianhun's eyes twinkled. The Fortune Shrine. He hoped they could help him, using a misfortune soul or the godly medicine of the immortals. In the Dark Night region, are there powerful enemies? Asked Saint Tianhun. The strongest person should be the first master of the Dark Night region, Prince Wuxia. Besides him, there are some other very powerful cultivators who are extraordinary and have potential, such as Wu Ju, and the one who kidnapped the Holy Jade Princess, are also extremely strong. And there are some people who have king-type bodies, said Qin Gan looking pensive. He continued, by the way, I have the feeling that the one who got onto the Holy Way stage, Chu Chun Chiu, is very dangerous. I think he might become a new King Chu. King Chu? Asked Saint Tianhun expressionlessly. You're from the ancient days, you don't know King Chu. However, many years ago, when I was young, King Chu was like a god in the Dark Night region, he feared nobody, replied Qin Gan. Saint Tianhun didn't really care, he just nodded. His only goal was to stabilize his cultivation once more. He asked, what about the one I saw before, the one whose body I wanted? Qin Gan and the others remained silent for a few seconds. They naturally all remembered Lin Feng. He had had 2 incredible battles in Qi Tian Holy Town, holy emperors had even fallen because of him. They hadn't forgotten about him. And now many people had forgotten about him, they all thought he was dead. Back then, he had a great battle, we all think he died. What a pity, his physical body was perfect, said Saint Tianhun. He regretted that he had not obtained that body. The body he had now wasn't nearly as good. Master, we're going to select some people, said Qin Gan before leaving. The rest all followed. The ancient Jade Dynasty's princess had disappeared. The leader of the ancient Jade Dynasty was starting to have doubts about them, they had been forced to explain to her that they had nothing to do with that. Otherwise, it would have led to big problems. They didn't want to offend the Death Fairy. Besides, the animal clan had remained silent for such a long time. But since the ancient clans and the animal clans hadn't shown up for a long time, they didn't need to worry. There were animal districts in all 18 main cities of the Dark Knight region. They were all places where enlightened animals gathered. Humans ruled over the region, but they still coexisted with the animal clans. Chi Tian Holy Town was the same, they also had an animal district. They were much stronger than ancient holy clans. The animal district in Chi Tian Holy Town had some truly formidable creatures living there. Such creatures were also extremely conceited. They had dominated humans ages ago, but then the different human groups had joined hands and now the animal clans hadn't shown up for thousands of years. Nobody really knew what they were doing or how strong they had become, they had been hidden for too long. Things had changed with time. Some groups fell, some groups rose, they all had their own stories. Some stories were boring where nothing changed, and some stories were astonishing. However, only a few people could stand out because of their own story. The world was very big, and there were many small worlds, some of them as big as the continent of the 9 clouds, and there were many geniuses everywhere. Staying at the top was extremely complicated, and everyone there had their own stories too. The only way to stand at the top was to progress all the time. Saint Tianhun was making efforts, the animal clans were making efforts, Tian Jiao was making efforts, Shuaqing was making efforts, Wu Ju was making efforts, everybody, all the geniuses of the continent of the 9 clouds, were making efforts. Lin Feng was also making efforts. They all had different lives, but they all had the same thought, reach the clouds. They all wanted to rule over the world someday and transmit their legacy onwards. Chapter 2074, Movement in the Animal District. Millennia ago, the Animal District ruled over Chi Tian Holy Town. They acted independently and defiantly, standing up to others as equals aggressively. Many animal clans from elsewhere used to come to Chi Tian Holy Town back then to join the Animal District. However, at some point, the ancient holy clans and dynasties of Chi Tian Holy Town joined hands and started a great war against them. Chi Tian Holy Town had turned into a field littered with corpses. Many strong cultivators had fallen, and many small worlds of the Animal District had been destroyed. Humanity had also paid the price, but finally the Animal District had fallen and lost their influence. They couldn't afford to act arrogantly now, they weren't as imposing and awe-inspiring as before, even before they had disappeared. However, some news had started spreading through Chi Tian Holy Town. The members of the Animal District had apparently been traveling to gain experience discreetly. The denizens of the Animal District had disappeared for a very long time into one of their sealed worlds, a place now filled with a brutal bestial chi. It was extremely thick in one particular location. There was blood everywhere. There were hundreds of thousands of beasts, rocks, apes, bulls, rhinos, pythons. It was astonishing. They were all alive, but they seemed to be suffering, their blood dripping everywhere. They looked desperate and hopeless. There was a lake made from their blood. There were some terrifying and ferocious beasts within that lake, greedily absorbing the other beasts' blood. The hundreds of thousands of beasts had been offered to them as a sacrifice. If the dynasties of Chi Tian Holy Town had seen that, they would have been astonished and troubled by the implications. However, the people outside didn't know about that. This continued for 3 full years. Within those 3 years, Chi Tian Holy Town had changed too, but there were some strange things going on too. More and more people had kept arriving. If it had only been like that, it wouldn't have drawn people's attention, but the thing was that many beasts had been taken there and everything was done discreetly. Their target destination was the Animal Mountain, which hadn't been active for a long time. Finally, the strong cultivators of the dynasties investigated that location, and they all noticed the bestial chi. People rose up in the air, not trying to hide their anger. On the ground, they saw people enter the Animal Mountain and disappear. Something serious is going on, commented someone. All the dynasties were astonished. They had the impression something terrifying was going to happen. The Holy Spirit dynasty's Holy Emperor was with Lin Feng. Someone came up to the Holy Emperor and said, "Holy Emperor, the animal district has been active recently. They kidnapped many animals and took them to the animal district, but they didn't hide." Animal district? Lin Feng was startled. Lin Feng, the animal district acted independently and defiantly in the past, but they couldn't compete with humanity. They were the strongest animal force of the Dark Night region. They'd been silent for thousands of years now, though, the Holy Emperor informed Lin Feng. Then, he looked at the strong cultivators and asked, "Is there anything else?" "No, they've been silent for thousands of years, we can't get inside, so we couldn't learn anything," replied the strong cultivator. The Holy Emperor nodded and said, "Let's go to Animal Mountain and see." "Holy Emperor, I'm coming with you," said Lin Feng. He wanted to see the animal district. "All right, you can watch. But we can only stay outside, we can't get in." "Nobody from Chi Tian Holy Town dares go in," said the Holy Emperor calmly. Lin Feng shivered. He understood the animal district was extremely strong. They headed to a location near to the Animal Mountain. Lin Feng could sense the bestial qi, but he didn't mind, he had studied animal cultivation too. The Holy Emperor and Lin Feng gazed into the distance. Some strong cultivators were chained and taken forwards. There were dozens of people in that group, all of them emperors. "There are some there too," said Lin Feng. "And there," said the Holy Emperor, pointing at another place. He whispered, "The animal district has captured many beasts, they can't hide it, so they didn't even try. They just tried to do it as quickly as possible. I wonder what they're doing. Why does the animal district need so many beasts?" asked Lin Feng. "I'm not sure. In this world, there are many mysteries. Who knows what secret powers they have? It's difficult to imagine," replied the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng nodded. The world was big, there were many different methods of gaining power. At that moment, the atmosphere suddenly became dark. More bestial qi covered everything, and suddenly rose up to blot out the sky. There was no light anymore. Lin Feng was startled at the strength of the qi. Surprisingly, they couldn't see the sun anymore. "You really want to die," someone swore suddenly. The strong cultivator who was dragging the chained beast cultivators had shouted. He had been harassed a few times, he hadn't thought anyone would dare provoke him. How insolent! When he said that, he entered the darkness. A gigantic fire appeared, the flames looked like claws. Interesting. Surprisingly, more and more humans dare come to the animal district. The one who controls the darkness probably controls genuine darkness Tao, said the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng gazed into the distance, glancing at the chained people. Suddenly, Lin Feng released some ice-cold qi. "Lin Feng, what's going on?" asked the Holy Emperor when he saw Lin Feng. He was surprised. What was going on with Lin Feng? However, Lin Feng already started forwards, releasing death intent. Many people noticed him and were startled. "Uncle Shenyu," shouted Lin Feng. Emperor Shenyu frowned when he heard that familiar voice, he turned around and saw a stranger's face. "Uncle Shenyu, it's me," said Lin Feng, as wearing a mask. At that moment, Emperor Shenyu looked startled and shaken, it was Lin Feng. High-level Emperor. Emperor Shenyu realized that Lin Feng was a high-level emperor, he was astonished. He had been right, Lin Feng was extremely talented. He had become a high-level emperor so quickly. However, Emperor Shenyu quickly realized something and said to Lin Feng, "Hurry up and run, leave." Many times, His Highness the Beast of the Night had come back empty-handed. Even though Lin Feng was talented, he was just a high-level emperor. Among the people who were chained, apart from the one who had fought against His Highness the Beast of the Night, there was a great imperial beast too. Lin Feng couldn't compete with them. He couldn't save Shinyu. Uncle Shinyu, did they attack Yaoyi Island? Asked Lin Feng. He wouldn't have thought that the animal district would go so far to kidnap beasts. Yes, they want to capture all the beasts. Lin Feng, hurry up and leave, shouted Emperor Shinyu to Lin Feng explosively telepathically. However, at that moment, Lin Feng's death intent was even colder. How could he abandon the people from Yaoyi Island? They had saved him. They were the first people who had helped him in the great world. There were many elders whom he cared about in Yaoyi Island, the Wind Elder, Uncle Shinyu, Huyu, the cute Great Earth Demon Ape, had they all been captured? In the distance, the Holy Emperor hadn't thought Lin Feng would be friends with some beasts which had been captured. He was startled and found himself smiling wryly. What was going to happen? You want to die? Bestial lights streaked across the sky and shot towards Lin Feng. Gigantic claws appeared and converged on him. The atmosphere became oppressive. That chi was far more fearsome than a human's chi. Lin Feng, go, said Emperor Shinyu. His face stiffened. Even though Lin Feng was talented, he couldn't be stronger than a beast. There was a crackling sound, as if bones were being broken. Emperor Shinyu looked extremely worried, but suddenly, he saw the body of the beast who was attacking Lin Feng explode, blood splashing everywhere. Lin Feng was motionless. He just glanced around icily. Chapter 2075, Young Beast Master. When Emperor Shinyu saw that, he was astonished, and his heart started racing. He took a deep breath and realized that Lin Feng had changed a lot since the last time he had met him. He wasn't a baby anymore. One punch, and he could crush a high-level imperial beast. When he thought about that, he had hope again. He had been practicing cultivation for so many years and he was still only a high-level emperor. He used to protect Lin Feng, a talented Zoom cultivator. Maybe Lin Feng had become famous in the main cities now. The chained beasts looked at Lin Feng, all of them angry and depressed. The one who was holding the chains and dragging them had pitch-black eyes, and looked gloomy suddenly. Lin Feng, that's a Maharaga python, his poison is terrifying. You're talented, don't risk your life here, escape now, said Emperor Shinyu to Lin Feng telepathically. The Maharaga python was a great emperor, Lin Feng couldn't compete with him. Uncle Shinyu, he will die, said Lin Feng icily. The Maharaga python smiled icily. This little boy is audacious, die. The snake's red tongue whipped out towards Lin Feng, the snake spat out poison at him. A high-level emperor dared threaten him. However, a terrifying and thick strength appeared around Lin Feng, dense waves of energies gathering. He raised his fist and punched out hard enough to make the air howl. The poison exploded with a rumble and boom. The snake put his tongue back in his mouth and spun around, turning into a gigantic snake hundreds of meters long. The snake opened his mouth again. He could easily swallow a dozen people. At the same time, he kept spitting out poison at Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the snake icily, a terrifying strength surrounding his body. He condensed aggressive demon cosmic energies in his right hand and condensed incantation words in his other hand. Mourn, weapon, battle, the words resonated in his grip. Lin Feng's strength was blending with the earth and sky. A terrifying chi surged up around him. Lin Feng punched out once again, before condensing Kulpa's strength and jumping forwards. He raised his fist, aiming at the snake's mouth. His strength bore down on everyone, shaking their souls. The Maharaga python looked abruptly scared. An incantation, his poison was entirely destroyed. However, the Maharaga python continued moving towards Lin Feng, as he had no choice. He had to kill Lin Feng. There was an explosive impact. The confrontation was fast, precise, and cruel. The snake wanted to impale Lin Feng with his great fangs. However, Lin Feng burst forward instead. He penetrated into the gigantic snake's mouth and at that moment, an explosive strength flared and spread through the snake's body. The Maharaja snake's body was filled with poison, and even emperors could die in there. However, the Maharaja python instead started shaking violently. Even his poison couldn't destroy that strength. The Maharaja python screamed, just before it suddenly exploded into tiny pieces of flesh raining down from the sky. The snake's soul started flying away, staring at Lin Feng icily. How strong! Thought Emperor Xinyu. His heart was pounding. Lin Feng could kill great imperial beasts. He has become so strong. His heart kept pounding. He was speechless. As an emperor, Lin Feng could kill great emperors. It was astonishing. The python's soul hissed and flashed towards Lin Feng, turning into illusionary lights. He wanted to get into Lin Feng's brain to destroy his soul. However, Lin Feng merely grunted icily and condensed death strength. Then, he slapped out, his hand turning into millions of death imprints. They crashed onto the snake's soul, who cried out helplessly. But his soul had been stamped, he couldn't do anything anymore. Finally his soul turned gray and dispersed. He's dead. The crowd was astonished. An human emperor had killed a beast great emperor. Roar, the beasts of the ground roared in a thundering rage. The great emperor who had kidnapped them was dead. They wanted to break free from the chains, and at the same time attack their remaining enemies, who all had ugly expressions. The slavers wanted to escape, but Lin Feng's silhouette flickered. He raised his fist and attacked them one by one. Very quickly, he had killed all of them. Lin Feng's sword destroyed the chains. The beasts from Yaoyi Island all looked at Lin Feng, stunned and speechless. Lin Feng was an emperor and surprisingly, he had become so strong. Uncle Xinyu, where is Sister Hu Yu? Asked Lin Feng, glancing at the beasts he knew. He couldn't see Hu Yu in the group. Two different groups kidnapped us, there was a celestial emperor. I hope Hu Yu isn't in danger, said Emperor Xinyu. His face stiffened as he remembered. Being kidnapped was horrible, especially as a beast high-level emperor. The celestial imperial beast had tried to capture the great imperial beasts, but he had failed. As Xinyu had said, in another place, there were two great imperial beasts and a few imperial beasts, they were dragging some enlightened animals. The passage of the animal district was open, and a group of people came out. The leader of the group was a terrifying young man, his eyes were bloodshot. Greetings, young beast master, said the two great imperial beasts respectfully when they saw that young man. He was one of the 13 people they had chosen in the animal district to receive the sacrificial legacies of hundreds of thousands of beasts. Those people would become the future of the animal district and Qi Tian Holy Town. They were doing all this to regain their power and station. Apart from that, they also hoping to bring their ancestor back to life, a beast saint. If they succeeded, they were soon going to become unprecedentedly strong again. Hey, said the young master nodding at those people. He said indifferently, those chained creatures are all new slaves, I see. Indeed. Give me that girl, said the young man, pointing at Hu Yu. The great imperial beast smiled. Their young beast master liked females. And that one was very beautiful, so his actions were normal. Hu Yu pulled a long face. She didn't look happy like in the past. Was she going to become a sex slave? What was the life of a slave? Hu Yu looked extremely unhappy as the young man walked up to her and grabbed her chin. He then slapped her and said, have you ever had sex with anyone else? Pa! She spat at him, but the young man moved his head aside and dodged. He was extremely quick. The young man then smiled in a strange way and tapped her cheeks. He smiled and said, if you have ever had sex with another beast, I'll fuck you and then I'll kill you long and painfully. Then, he walked to the big gate and smiled evilly. Hu Yu grimaced. Was she going to become a sex slave? Chapter 2076, Ancient Beast. The beasts of Yao Yi had started fighting against the great imperial beasts of the animal district. The atmosphere was dark. Qi was boiling. Lin Feng had already saved Emperor Shen Yu but was still furious. The animal district was going to kill Hu Yu. Lin Feng was extremely worried for her. The Holy Emperor had told Lin Feng a lot about the animal district. He knew they were terrifyingly strong. They had a sealed world, and not even a holy emperor dared go there. Nobody even knew how strong they had become. But even if a saint emperor went there, they might die. Lin Feng looked thoughtful. In the distance, a new group of people had appeared. Lin Feng saw the leader of the group, a young man whose eyes were bloodshot. He looked ferocious. Even when animals of the animal district turned into human form, their bestial qi was still terrifying. Their qi was thicker than the qi of the beasts of the vast celestial ancient city's animal world. Even Wu's bestial qi wasn't that thick. The young man frowned when he saw Lin Feng and the others. His qi spilled out towards them. Surprisingly, a human had dared save their beast slaves just outside their territory. How insolent! They had been discreet for such a long time, and now some human already dared provoke them. The young man turned into a beam of red light and shot towards Lin Feng. His speed made Lin Feng shudder with dread. He suddenly raised his fist and released his strength, his fist colliding with the enemy's claws. The claws crashed onto Lin Feng's fist, blood splashed and Lin Feng was driven back. Lin Feng lowered his head and saw his own blood before he raised his head again. The strange young man continued releasing a terrifying bestial qi. Lin Feng hadn't anticipated the young man would be so strong. Lin Feng knew how strong he was himself, he could easily destroy ordinary great emperors. However, if Lin Feng had known who this enemy was, he wouldn't have been surprised. This person had been in the sealed animal world for thousands of years and had received hundreds of thousands of beasts' blood as a sacrifice. They were about to raise 13 incredible geniuses. This young man was one of them, a terrifying descendant of the animal district. The young beast master stopped moving. He put his hands behind his back and shook them out secretly. He hadn't expected Lin Feng to be so strong. "You still want to try?" said Lin Feng icily. The young beast master grunted coldly and retorted, "How reckless. Is that so?" Lin Feng released death lights and suddenly jumped away. The air began to shake and erupt from the conflict of energies as dazzling purple lights exploded. The thunderclaps made the sky shake violently. The strong cultivators behind the young beast master glanced at one another and one of them said telepathically, "Young beast master, back. His cosmic energies are terrifying." However, the young beast master acted as if he hadn't heard them, stretching out his hands, which turned into sturdy blood-red claws. One glance sufficed to understand how terrifying those claws were. Assassinate. The sharp claws turned into a curtain of 81 murderous heavy claws. They collided with the thunders, even the great imperial beasts were speechless. Surprisingly, a human was so strong, he could surprisingly compete with their young beast master's assassination claws. Emperor Shen Yu and the others were completely stunned. Lin Feng was so strong. How fearsome. In such a short time, Lin Feng had become astonishingly strong. They couldn't believe their eyes. How talented. Emperor Shen Yu had never thought Lin Feng would become so strong. Lin Feng and the young man separated. Lin Feng's hair was fluttering in the wind, death intent rolled around him. There was lightning crackling in his hands. His enemy's arm had exploded from the lightning, his face had turned deathly pale. The young man was staring at Lin Feng. He had never lost a battle, except against the other 12 young masters of the animal district, and now a human could easily oppress him. "What's your name?" the young man demanded of Lin Feng. In response, Lin Feng walked towards him, and the young man shuddered in fear. He sensed an invisible and intangible strength surround him. I'm one of the 13 young masters of the animal district, I'll become a leader someday. How can I fear a human? He should die. After thinking about that, the young beast master released an even more terrifying bestial chi. He raised his other arm, struggling because it was almost paralyzed, and his claws became gigantic again. He looked both hideous and ferocious. A killing wind started blowing. Lin Feng charged ahead as fast as lightning. He rose up in the air and punched out again, and the sky followed behind his blow. There was a crash of impact, and the young beast master was smashed away. He coughed up blood a few times, his face even paler. At his back, the great imperial beasts stared at Lin Feng, and started releasing deadly energies. Move away. The young man glanced at Lin Feng icily. He wiped off the blood around his mouth and looked at Lin Feng ferociously. The great imperial beasts he had made move away were staring at him. It's been a long time since someone made me bleed. It's a pleasant feeling, said the young beast master, looking even more bloodthirsty. Piss off or I'll kick you away. Lin Feng just stared at him. This young man gave orders to great imperial beasts. He had to have a very high social status within the animal district. If Hu Yu had been captured, he needed to act quickly. When Lin Feng thought about that, he looked at Holy Emperor Ling and nodded. He said telepathically, "Holy Emperor, I need to capture him, help me." "All right," replied Holy Emperor Ling, moving towards the beasts. The great imperial beasts sensed that the Holy Emperor coming. They instantly released energies to surround their young beast master. Blood shield. Lin Feng frowned. Holy Emperor Ling was extremely fast, and had already arrived, but it wasn't quick enough. "Surprisingly, you want to capture me. I'm sure we'll meet again," said the young beast master as he turned into an illusion. He quickly disappeared from Lin Feng's field of vision. Lin Feng's face stiffened, and he shouted explosively, "If you want to fight again, remember to keep a beautiful female beast for me, her name is Hu Yu." "All right, I'll find her." "Wait for me," called back the voice. Lin Feng's face was grim. As the young man disappeared, the other beasts of the animal district who were fighting against the beasts from Yao Yi also stopped and rapidly fled. Emperor Shen Yu and the others looked at Lin Feng and the Holy Emperor next to him. How incredible! Lin Feng even knew such a terrifying cultivator. They had never seen such an oppressive strength, even from His Highness the Beast of the Night. At that moment, Lin Feng gazed into the distance and noticed a dark silhouette. He was startled. That was the leader of Yao Yi Island, a mysterious creature. It was impossible to see his real body, even from a short distance. He just looked like a shadow. "Let's leave. Animal Mountain is the animal district's periphery. Some strong cultivators could come out anytime," said the Holy Emperor to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng didn't feel like leaving, but he had no choice. He hoped the young beast master wouldn't kill Sister Hu Yu. Lin Feng didn't know whether she was there already or not. The young beast master is proud. If he finds Hu Yu, he will not kill her, he will use her to attract you, said the dark shadow. "I hope so," Lin Feng nodded. Their silhouettes flickered as everyone withdrew from the area. Surprisingly, the mysterious animal district had even chased after people as far away as Yao Yi Island. What was their plan? After they left, a group of terrifying beasts came out of the mountain, their bestial chi terrifying. The crowd watched them from afar, deeply cautious. "We can wait a few more days. When we're done with the sacrifices, it will be the beginning of a new era," said a strong cultivator of the animal district icily. His chi rolled far away in the distance. He wasn't afraid of being seen by humans anymore. Chapter 2077, Animal District's Agitation. The animal district of Chi Tian Holy Town had been hiding for thousands of years. Finally, they had reappeared. All the powerful groups of Chi Tian Holy Town knew that the animal district was preparing something. They were going to flip things over and rise again. At the same time, the elders of the different dynasties told their young people about the animal district's legends, which astonished everyone. At the same time, Lin Feng brought Emperor Xinyu and some other people from Yaoyi Island to the Holy Spirit dynasty. The prisoners who weren't from Yaoyi Island left. "Where will His Highness the Beast of the Night go?" asked Lin Feng to Emperor Xinyu. "You don't need to worry about him. It won't be easy for the animal district to capture him, he's strong," said Emperor Xinyu. His Highness the Beast of the Night was a mysterious being, a lord of darkness. It's a catastrophe for Yaoyi Island though. 2 celestial emperor and 2 great imperial beasts went there, it was impossible to resist them. His Highness the Beast of the Night took everyone away, but so many of our friends have been captured or killed. The real target of the animal district are the high-level emperors though, and then medium-level emperors, said Xinyu pulling a long face. He hadn't thought Yaoyi Island would ever face such a calamity. The animal district didn't only attack you, they attacked many animal groups in the Dark Night region. They just didn't dare attack the strongest animal groups of the main cities, said the Holy Emperor. Emperor Xinyu looked at him and sighed. He knew that this person was the Holy Emperor of a dynasty. Lin Feng had already become powerful and influential. He could chat freely with holy emperors. Such a thing would have been unthinkable years before. The current Great Emperor Qing had oppressed Lin Feng in the past, but in the Holy Emperor's eyes, Great Emperor Qing was a nobody. "Yes, all we can do is wait. I hope Hu Yu will be fine," said Lin Feng coldly. If anything happened to her, he'd have to destroy those responsible as well. Even though all the dynasties in Qi Tian Holy Town knew that the animal district was plotting, nobody dared go there. Even though back when the dynasties had joined hands to fight against them, they couldn't go to their sealed world. In the animal district, the young beast master who had fought against Lin Feng glanced at Hu Yu in a strange way. "Are you really Hu Yu?" asked the young beast master. After his battle against Lin Feng, he had gone back to the animal district and had started looking for Hu Yu. He hadn't thought it was the female he had chosen. Hu Yu's beautiful eyes twinkled. Why was he asking? "Indeed. What do you want?" replied Hu Yu icily. The young beast master slowly drew his lips into an evil rictus grin, put his hand on her lips, and said, "I initially wanted to have fun with you, but since he wants you too, I'll first defeat him and then I'll have fun with you." When Hu Yu heard that, she frowned and asked, "Someone is looking for me?" "Indeed, he's very strong. He's stronger than me now. Maybe he's your boyfriend, but after the sacrifice, I'll kill him," said the young beast master, chortling in anticipation. He took back his hand and smiled icily, "I'll kill him in front of you. I'll tell him that from now on, you're my war trophy. I'll show him." After that, the young beast master left. The sacrifice was almost over. After that, he'd break through and become much stronger. At the sight of the sacrifice, all the beasts had been chained and cut so their blood would flow. The blood lake was floating, blood kept dripping down and turning into a scarlet lake. The blood of all the beasts began to condense. Some skeletons walked over. They might be dead, but they had terrifying eyes. Those people used to be leaders of the animals long ago, all of them terrifying creatures. At that moment, a group of formidable old beasts appeared, their chi daunting. They looked at the skeletons and said, "Dear animal leaders, please take care of the end of the sacrifice." "All right, the animal district is going to rise once more," said the animal leaders hoarsely. The old beasts in the sky looked solemn and respectful. They were going to reclaim their place. The beasts which had been captured for the sacrifice were still bleeding out their essence. The skeleton leaders entered the blood lake and bathed in it. They were returning to life. "For the 13 young beast masters," said someone loudly. The 13 young men were also in the lake of blood. Those people were almost all high-level emperors. They had perpetrated this slaughter for the future of the animal district in the continent of the 9 clouds. At that moment, the 13 cultivators looked solemn as they enjoyed the blood of the mass sacrifice. They were going to rise and control the animal district in the future. The blood was thoroughly red. The sky in the animal district had turned red too. The hundreds of thousands of resident beasts were shouting furiously. Their chi was getting stronger and stronger, and so was their vitality. Flesh started appearing on the 13 skeletons. The slave beasts kept roaring in pain. Their blood kept dripping and gushing into the pool. However, that was just the beginning. A gigantic silhouette descended from the sky, its chi terrifying. It was an animal saint's body. His wings blotted out the sky and covered the sun. Suddenly, the blood moved towards that old body. The resident beasts looked solemn and respectful. An infinite amount of blood appeared in the sky. The 13 beasts looked touched and moved. They had summoned the ancient beast saint to receive his legacy, and then they'd rise again. They'd go and travel around the world, they'd become much stronger. Nobody would be able to compete with them anymore. But now it was time for the sacrifice. On that day, blood flowed unceasingly. Beasts roared furiously as their chi invaded the whole region. That small world was seething with excitement and bloody anticipation. In the outside world, nobody knew what was going on there. They just guessed that the animal district was preparing something. They didn't know that the animal district had been getting ready for a very long time. 7 days later, outside of the animal district in the mountains, many beasts appeared and walked into Chi Tian Holy Town. They didn't slaughter people carelessly, they had learned from past mistakes. They didn't want to be enemies with the dynasties anymore. However, many people noticed them on the streets because they were terrifyingly strong. Everybody understood what it meant. The animal district was back. During those days, the news spread that an emperor from an ancient holy clan had been punched by a member of the animal district and hadn't withstood a single attack, dying instantly. The news also spread that a young man of the animal district had killed a potential champion of Goblin Spirit University and eaten him. The news spread that the animal district had come back to life and was relentless. Finally, some members of the animal district were in the central part of Chi Tian Holy Town where the Chi Tian battle stage was, and had started confronting young people of all the dynasties and ancient holy clans. At the same time, Huyu would appear there too, but many people didn't understand what that meant because they had never heard of Huyu. They didn't even know what it meant. Of course, Lin Feng did know what it meant. It meant that Huyu was safe, which relieved him. Chapter 2078, Arrogant Beast. The news shook the whole town. The Chi Tian battle stage was a special place. Only very important battles occurred there, hence its location in the very center of Chi Tian Holy Town. The animal district was challenging all the young people of all the dynasties and all the ancient holy clans. They wanted to show everyone they were back. People quickly forgot about the historical remains. The animal district had come back to life and was caused trouble. Everybody was only talking about the animal district. How strong had they become? Did they want to be enemies with all the dynasties? Impossible. They had probably learned from their previous mistakes. In the Qin dynasty at the sacrificial altar, Saint Tianhun looked perplexed. Those people from the animal district are all descendants. Surprisingly, they dare act that arrogantly. Master Tianhun, the animal district keeps causing trouble in town, especially a few young people who are extremely strong. They can kill some geniuses from ancient holy clans with one punch. One of them even devoured a champion. I don't know what's going on. Surprisingly, they raised such strong cultivators, said the Qin Holy Emperor. The Qin Holy Emperor wasn't happy at all. Back in the saints' world, Lin Feng had benefited the most. He had obtained their ancestor, the Qin clan had sent a few geniuses there and obtained nothing. Now there was Saint Tianhun, they had chosen some extremely strong and talented young people to sacrifice to him, just as the animal district was rising. He had the feeling they wouldn't be able to deal with the animal district. Perfect. I'll go and practice. Since they took the initiative to come and provoke us, I'll teach them a good lesson. Wonderful, said Saint Tianhun, smiling evilly. He said to the holy emperors, you can all go and rest. I need to practice cultivation for a few days and then I'll come out. All right. The holy emperors all nodded and left. Saint Tianhun had absorbed 81 emperors' souls, but he didn't know that the animal district had done even worse. Their new young masters had absorbed hundreds of thousands of souls. 3 days passed in a flash. The central part of Qi Tian Holy Town was vast. There were 8 palaces around it used to challenge people. At this time, nobody was inside. There were many people at the foot of the buildings, though. In the middle, a battle stage had appeared indistinctly. It was in suspension and contained a terrifying qi. The Qi Tian battle stage was from ancient times, created by a peerless cultivator. Even when saint emperors fought on it, their energies didn't spill over. It was a very safe battle stage. At that moment, an endless number of people were standing around it. They all looked excited. In the sky, a strong wind started blowing. Strong cultivators from the ancient clans descended from the sky and landed on the top of the buildings. They looked both solemn and respectful. Those people are strong cultivators from Goblin Spirit University. They actually arrived first. They all have beast spirits. When their spirit fuses together with their blood, they become half-beasts, a specialty of Goblin Spirit University. Their students are extremely talented. The crowd watched those strong cultivators descend from the sky, and kept talking. More and more strong cultivators descended from the sky. There were so many strong cultivators, it was like a dynasty had descended from the sky. The ancient Jade Dynasty's people are here, too. The Holy Jade Princess has disappeared. We don't know who kidnapped her. It's funny though, the person who kidnapped her must be extremely strong. Surprisingly, he kidnapped the Holy Jade Princess in front of everybody. The members of the Great Desert Dynasty are all here, too. So many strong cultivators. All the holy emperors are here, too. They all attach importance to the animal district, the crowd chattered. They all feared the animal district, it seemed. Look, Qin Dynasty. Surprisingly, someone is sitting next to the holy emperor. That person is just an emperor, though. Is he a new genius of the dynasty? He looks evil and sly. I've heard that there is no prince in the Qin dynasty. Even if he were a prince, he wouldn't be sitting next to the holy emperor anyway. He must be incredibly strong and talented. The holy emperor must respect that person, observed some people. The person next to Qin Gan was Saint Tianhun, but he had a new body. Apart from a few holy emperors, nobody knew who he was. Saint Tianhun naturally wasn't going to say anything either, or it would cause trouble. As people were talking, red lights appeared in the distance. They looked like blood. People raised their heads and sensed bestial qi approaching them. The animal district is here. The crowd shivered. They understood who these people were. Silhouettes descended from the sky one after another. The qi of the 9 people in the front was fearsome. What a powerful bestial qi. They must be leaders, like holy emperors in dynasties, exclaimed a few members of the crowd when they saw the 9 leaders. They all shuddered with fear. The holy emperors frowned. They were astonished. It was them, they were surprisingly still alive. They looked even slyer than they had before. The young people behind the leaders are impressive too, keen eyes from the crowd noticed. Those young people had been raised by the strongest cultivators of the animal district. Dear friends, long time no see, said one of the beasts icily. They landed on a palace higher up in the air than everybody else. The animal district hasn't shown up for thousands of years. Indeed, long time no see. You're all safe and sound. Good for you, said an old man of the Great Desert Dynasty. However, The beast smiled in a cold and evil way. Indeed, so much time, I wonder how everyone is doing in Chi Tian Holy Town nowadays. Therefore, I decided to take some young people out. When he said that, he pointed at the young people behind him. They all looked astonishingly strong. They had been traveling for a long time, it seemed. Lin Feng looked at the animal district's people icily. He could see Hu Yu and two guards at her sides. Hu Yu was a high-level emperor, but she looked weak in comparison to all those people. They could all kill her if they wanted to. She was scared, especially since the animal district's people had taken her out because someone wanted to see her. She didn't know who, though. It had to be someone extremely strong, otherwise, the animal district's young master wouldn't have obeyed. At that moment, Hu Yu had the impression someone was staring at her. She glanced around and gazed into the distance. She noticed someone was looking at her. He had a familiar chi, but she had never seen that face. Is it him? When she saw those eyes, Hu Yu, who was usually insensitive and rough, suddenly looked touched. Someone cared about her that much? It wasn't Xin Yu, that was certain. Thousands of years have passed and now we came back out. Let's see how strong the young people of Chi Tian Holy Town have become in comparison with ours, stated a beast aggressively. The crowd was shuddering with fear. He was challenging all the dynasties, ancient holy clans, and universities. Nobody could refuse. It would be a humiliation, and it would also mean that they surrendered. Chapter 2079, Animals' Explosive Power. The animal district was showing up after thousands of years. The first thing they did was challenge all the powerful groups of Chi Tian Holy Town to fight on the Chi Tian battle stage. The animal district didn't choose to make their elders fight. If their leaders fought against the holy emperors, the consequences would have been tragic. Making young people fight was more appropriate. The animal leader's voice seemed to linger in the silent atmosphere. Since you're not saying anything, I suppose you agree, said the animal leader indifferently. A silhouette sprang out and landed on the Chi Tian battle stage. He glanced around in a sharp way. His eyes were bloodshot. Anyone from a dynasty, an ancient holy clan, or a university, please go and exchange views on cultivation, said the animal leader. Then he looked at the strong cultivator on the Chi Tian battle stage and said, he's a young man from the animal district. He's the 9th one. He has no name. You can just call him 9th Beast. The animal district had managed to make 13 cultivators strong again, 2 great emperors, 7 high-level emperors, 3 medium-level emperors and 1 low-level emperor. The 9th beast was one of the 7 high-level imperial beasts. Of course, people from Chi Tian Holy Town didn't know how strong he was. They just knew that only a high-level emperor could fight against him. The atmosphere remained eerily silent, and then at some point, a young man slowly walked towards the stage. He released bestial chi. A genius from Goblin Spirit University, Ling Cheng. He has a great rock of darkness spirit. He's extremely strong. He's good in both defense and offense. Everybody recognized him. The animal district had sent a very strong cultivator, so Goblin Spirit University had to send someone strong as well. Ling Cheng released bestial chi in waves. His blood also started boiling. A dark great rock appeared, his hands turned into sharp claws and he started flapping his black wings. The crowd was amazed. A strong wind was blowing. Ling Cheng flapped his wings above the Chi Tian battle stage. Dark lights condensed around him, and he charged towards 9th Beast while brandishing his sharp claws. Goblin Spirit University students all have a beast spirit, and they all control animal cultivation. They are even more terrifying than ordinary cultivators. It's the case for Ling Cheng as well. His attacks are terrifying. He can even compete with Crazy Bull. The crowd frowned when they saw the dark silhouette because the 9th beast remaining motionless. He looked extremely strong and conceited. Ling Cheng was as fast as lightning. However, when he appeared above the ninth beast, he looked him in the eyes. Suddenly, a massacre appeared in Ling Cheng's brain. He had the sensation he was going to collapse and faint. His eyes even started bleeding. The crowd finally saw the ninth beast move. He stretched out his hands, the crowd saw some blood, and then the ninth beast appeared behind Ling Cheng and blood sprayed. The crowd was stupefied. Ling Cheng's head flew away, he had been beheaded. The ninth beast didn't even look at Ling Cheng. He chopped down, and red lights surrounded Ling Cheng's body, which disappeared. The young cultivators of Goblin Spirit University all stood up. They looked furious and astonished. Even the older strong cultivators of Goblin Spirit University were astonished, and staring at the ninth beast. This young man was so strong. Everybody was speechless. Ling Cheng was so strong and surprisingly he hadn't withstood a single attack. The ninth beast was too strong, it was too shocking. Animal District. The crowd was speechless, even the strongest cultivators were speechless and thought, how did the Animal District raise such strong cultivators? And apart from the ninth beast, how strong are the others? Saint Tianhun was startled and smiled coldly. Interesting. Indeed, this was interesting to him. He used to be a saint, and now he had captured a body. Theoretically, he was invincible at the same cultivation level. Now that the Animal District had appeared, he realized those people could compete with him. He hadn't thought he'd see cultivators who could compete with geniuses of the old days during the first battle though. In the Dark Night region, there were 18 cities and 3 main celestial cities. Not many people had the potential to become champions. Champions were already geniuses amongst geniuses, and very rare. There were only a few people like Prince Wuqing, or Wu Ju. Usually, only a very few people had the potential to become peerless cultivators, but this generation was different. They were so strong, there were so many strong cultivators. In the Holy City, Ying Cheng and Ji Chang used to be champions, and now Chu Chun Chiu was more talented than Ying Cheng. Lin Feng used to be even more talented, he used to be a beast, but he had died during that great battle. Now the Animal District had come back to life, and their first fighter was astonishingly strong. It was difficult to imagine how much effort the Animal District had made to raise those beasts. A short time before, their strongest cultivators only had the potential of champions, but they had sacrificed hundreds of thousands of their own kind for them, and now they were terrifyingly strong. The only people who weren't surprised were the Animal District's members. For them, this was natural and obvious. They had made so much blood flow, they hadn't done it to waste resources, they had done it to win. They wanted everybody to understand that the Animal District was terrifyingly strong. The Animal District's strong cultivators remained calm, which made the crowd feel even more pressure. The ninth beast was so strong, who could defeat him? The dynasties, ancient holy clans, and universities remained silent. That silence meant something. The Animal District is incredibly strong. With the ninth beast's strength, if I don't intervene, nobody will be able to defeat him. And the others must be even stronger than him, said Saint Tianhun calmly. The people next to him were silent. They thought the same. The ninth beast is the ninth cultivator. And among high-level emperors, they have 7 people. The ninth beast must be the weakest high-level emperor, analyzed Saint Tianhun indifferently. People next to him shuddered with dread. And what about those who have received your legacy, master? Can't they defeat the ninth beast? Qin Gan asked Saint Tianhun telepathically. They received my legacy a few days ago only. They can't compete with him. Their 13 cultivators have probably received terrifying legacies as well, replied Saint Tianhun. Qin Gan nodded slow agreement. Saint Tianhun's arguments were well grounded. I'm going. After having remained silent for a few seconds, someone spoke up on the side of Goblin Spirit University, Crazy Bull, the champion. When the elders of Goblin Spirit University saw Crazy Bull stand up, they looked extremely nervous. They didn't know what the animal district had done to make the ninth beast so strong, but it was going to be very difficult for Crazy Bull to win. If they lost their champion, it would be a tragedy. A champion is fearless. A champion is destined to become a king, said Crazy Bull. He looked wild and manic. Ling Cheng had been killed. He knew that the ninth beast was terrifying, as he had fought against Ling Cheng before. Since he was a champion, he couldn't fear to battle. He had to be insane if he wanted to become a king in the Dark Knight region someday. He had to take risks. Crazy Bull jumped ahead, he looked solemn and heroic. The eyes of the elders of Goblin Spirit University glittered. They didn't prevent the fearless Crazy Bull from fighting. Lin Feng was there, his heartbeat racing. Crazy Bull was brave. Lin Feng realized that the ninth beast was abnormally strong. He also saw the young man who he had fought on the other day, standing in the seventh position in the line. Was he the seventh beast? Just like Lin Feng had expected, that person was the seventh beast indeed. He walked to Hu Yu, his eyes still bloodshot, and said, "You overestimate yourself, little boy. If you don't come out for your sweetie, I'll humiliate you." Hu Yu looked at him icily. She had a secret lover. She didn't know who it was, though. Was it the young man the seventh beast was pointing at? Chapter 2080. Without the slightest scruple, when Crazy Bull landed on the Chi Tian battle stage, his blood started boiling. He looked like a terrifying ancient bull as he released a sturdy and powerful strength in waves. His attack was terrifying. A path appeared between the ninth beast and him, like a herd of beasts were running towards the ninth beast. The ninth beast grunted icily. He stared at Crazy Bull with his bloodshot eyes, releasing Dao power which penetrated into Crazy Bull's brain. Patterns appeared again, the terrifying strength flowing throughout Crazy Bull's brain. At the same time, he raised his hand and roared in a thundering rage. The earth and sky kept shaking, his energies sending the wind howling. In his energies, people could see the ninth beast's totems. There were rumblings as Crazy Bull's Dao power slowly broke apart. The ninth beast rose up in the air and the path between them turned into a gigantic great rock, and then an eagle. It opened its wings, which blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Blood-red lights glittered. "Die!" shouted the ninth beast furiously. The scene of the massacre kept appearing in Crazy Bull's brain. At the same time, a terrifying Dao power continued oppressing Crazy Bull. His face turned deathly pale, and he could only grimace. He remained determined, even as his spirit shook. He shouted furiously, and the ground shook under his feet before he jumped forwards. His attack looked indestructible. The ninth beast looked at him in a disdainful way. He bombarded Crazy Bull's horn violently, and the horn exploded. At the same time, the strength continued penetrating into his body. He was driven backwards and his face became even paler, his mouth bleeding. As the crowd had expected, Crazy Bull the champion couldn't compete with the ninth beast. Nobody knew how the animal district had done this, but if the others were stronger than him, then it was really terrifying. The ninth beast kept assaulting Crazy Bull. Crazy Bull's had the impression his body was going to be crushed. He was a champion, he was really strong and looked crazed at this point. He turned into a gigantic ancient bull, covered all over with cuts and bruises. But he didn't care, he didn't want to give up, even the ninth beast was surprised and a bit scared by his frenzy. Goblin Spirit University's strong cultivators stood up and stared at the Chi Tian battle stage. One of them said, "That's enough, no need to fight anymore." Crazy Bull and the ninth beast collided once more, Crazy Bull was thrown off the Chi Tian battle stage. The ninth beast jumped and chased Crazy Bull. "He's away from the Chi Tian battle stage now, why chase him?" shouted a strong cultivator from Goblin Spirit University. He jumped forwards and landed before Crazy Bull, catching him and taking him away. The ninth beast could only watch him gloomily and sinisterly. Since he came onto the Qi Tian battle stage and lost, why drift and live without purpose, spat the ninth beast icily, then jumped back onto the Qi Tian battle stage. He calmed down. A champion had just been defeated. How terrifying. The animal district are too powerful, nobody can compete with them, sighed the crowd. They were staring at the strong cultivators of the animal district. They still looked aloof and composed. They had everything under control. Anyone else? Asked the ninth beast, glancing around at the members of the dynasties, ancient holy clans, and universities. He looked extremely evil. He looked like a bloodthirsty beast which wanted to devour its prey. He had even tried to kill Crazy Bull after he had already won. There was an eerie silence. Even though there were many geniuses in the Dark Knight region, champions were rare. Not many people were as strong as Crazy Bull. There were only a few people like Chu Chun Chiu, and a few other people who were at the top of the Huang Qi layer, as well as people who had king-type bodies. Nobody had thought the animal district would have such strong cultivators. That's ridiculous. Qi Tian Holy Town is so big and nobody dares fight, jeered someone at that moment, jumping forwards. It was the eighth beast. He glanced at the crowd and said icily, even if nobody wants to fight, I still want to ask everyone to prove that their high-level emperors are strong. He started flapping his gigantic wings. He suddenly rose high up in the air. He landed in front of the crowd of people from an ancient holy clan and looked at a high-level emperor. He shouted furiously, a horrible shriek splitting the air as the eighth beast grabbed him with his claws and instantly killed him by slicing apart his skull. How insolent! A strong cultivator of that ancient holy clan rose up into the air and pulled a long face. The eighth beast dared kill their people in front of them. The eighth beast didn't stop. His silhouette streaked across the sky and blood gushed. He killed another person from another ancient holy clan. The crowd was astonished. The eighth beast was stronger than the ninth beast. How terrible! And what about the other ones? The crowd couldn't imagine. Be careful, everyone said to their young people. The eighth beast was a high-level emperor and he only killed people of the same level, so people who were stronger couldn't attack him. If their high-level emperors were getting killed by the eighth beast, it just meant that their people weren't strong enough. Die. The eighth beast killed someone else. His wings were extremely sharp and covered with blood. Another head flew away as the atmosphere became oppressive. The eighth beast was too fast. The animal district's strong cultivators just watched at all the high-level emperors of the different dynasties, ancient holy clans and universities disdainfully. Be careful. Move back if you aren't sure you can resist. All the strong cultivators warned the people of their groups. The eighth beast was too fast. In a flash, he had killed a few strong cultivators already. High-level emperors couldn't compete with him. The eighth beast was too terrifying. Everybody was astonished. How had the animal district done this? Simple, they had sacrificed hundreds of thousands of their fellow beasts to allow 13 people to become extremely strong. There were sudden explosions. The crowd realized someone had just blocked the eighth beast. When the crowd saw him, they were astonished. That young man looked confident and at ease, no wonder, since he was so strong. People gulped, it was him, Wu Ju. He had the potential to become the first master of the Dark Knight region. Wu Ju can compete with him, but then, how many members of the animal district have the potential to become first master of the Dark Knight region? The crowd shuddered with dread when they realized that. The thought was dreadful. The eighth beast stopped moving and smiled evilly, not bad. You're the only one. He continued flapping his wings, and at that moment, people didn't dare block him, moving away to avoid him. When the eighth beast arrived in front of the members of the Qin dynasty, Saint Tianhuan's gray eyes twinkled, filled with lightning. Insolent, said Saint Tianhun icily, and jumped forwards. Gray lights emerged from his eyes. Red lights emerged from the eighth beast's eyes, both colliding. The eighth beast had the impression his soul was going to explode. How strong! The eighth beast was stupefied. He closed his eyes and swiftly flew back, saying icily, "You're very strong." The crowd looked at Saint Tianhun. Who was this person? Surprisingly, the eighth beast said he was very strong. He was a stranger to everyone, however. At that moment, Saint Tianhun's eyes glittered. "I understood something," said Saint Tianhun icily. The animal district was indeed sly. Surprisingly, they had used a terrifying sacrificial ritual. How mad! The eighth beast continued killing people around. When he landed in front of the Holy Spirit dynasty, he looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng condensed terrifying cosmic energies, lightning gathered around him as his eyes turned as gray as thunderclouds. The eighth beast flashed towards him. Lin Feng jumped forwards in response, staring the eighth beast in the eyes. Those eyes were filled with flames of fury. Lin Feng raised his fist and punched out against the eighth beast's claws. "It's you," said the seventh beast. He grabbed Hu Yu with his claws and jumped onto the stage. The eighth beast stopped and looked at him icily. Lin Feng looked at the seventh beast and said indifferently, "It's me." The seventh beast sneered when Lin Feng admitted it was him. Then he glanced at Hu Yu. Hu Yu studied Lin Feng. She didn't understand, why was this person trying to save her? Lin Feng took a step forwards, he looked at the seventh beast and said icily, "Let her go and I won't fight today." The seventh beast sneered, his eyes bloodshot, and said, "You're not fighting today. Then I'll kill her on the spot." Chapter 2081, Capturing a Beast. When Lin Feng heard the seventh beast, he remained silent and released even more terrifying energies. His qi began to spread out slowly, but it was explosive. His qi had completely changed. He looked like an insane demon. "Will you let her go?" repeated Lin Feng icily. He looked emotionless, like a waiting god of death. "Is she your sweetheart?" spat the seventh beast, moving his claws closer to her face. His eyes were bloodshot and looked terrifying. At that moment, Lin Feng jumped forwards. He didn't jump towards the seventh beast, however, he jumped towards the eighth beast. The eighth beast smiled evilly as he and Lin Feng collided again. He wanted to see how strong Lin Feng was. "Die!" He stared at Lin Feng with his bloodthirsty eyes. Lin Feng saw a massacre in his brain and a terrifying strength started flowing throughout his mind. Lin Feng saw many bleeding beasts, his soul was being attacked. The eighth beast was cruel, brutal, and violent. They had all come back to power after the sacrifices and they had become much stronger. Then they had received the ancient beast saint's legacy, and reached the top of their cultivation layer. Even Lin Feng, who had a powerful soul, had the impression his soul was going to be crushed. A golden palace appeared in Lin Feng's mind and protected him. At the same time, his gray eyes became pitch black, black water appeared in them and collided with the red lights of his enemy's eyes, while in his black ocean, death strength emerged and protected his soul. In the outside world, the eighth beast brandished his sharp claws, he wanted to cut Lin Feng apart. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. He raised his fist and punched the claws, destroying them. Lin Feng then moved into the wind, the crowd could barely see him. Surprisingly, someone can resist the eighth beast, and he even took the initiative to fight against him. He's terrifyingly strong. Where is that man from, wondered everyone. The eighth beast had amazed everyone. He was aggressive and terrifying, killing cultivators from the ancient holy clans and dynasties a moment before. The strange person who was with the members of the Qin dynasty and this person were the only ones who could resist the eighth beast. "Humph," the eighth beast grunted icily. His bloodshot eyes glittered. Lin Feng started shaking violently as the air started to hum. He had the impression his body was going to explode. It wasn't the eighth beast's main attack though. He threw himself at Lin Feng and clawed at him again. The animal district didn't focus on only one person, thought the crowd. They were astonished. However, Lin Feng just looked solemn and wary. Many invisible and intangible threads of sound energy appeared behind him. The two fighters got closer and closer. However, at that moment, Lin Feng cloned himself, and a dozen Lin Fengs appeared all around and moved towards the eighth beast. The terrifying invisible and intangible soundwave strength dispersed. The crowd was astonished as the buzzing sound stopped. Soundwave attack, what a terrifying soundwave cosmic energy. Invisible and powerful. You can't even hear it, but each soundwave is as sharp as a sword. How deadly, someone blurted out. As expected, the eighth beast's sharp claws collided with the sound waves and a hurricane appeared. At the same time, the crowd saw Lin Feng move his hand towards the eighth beast. The eighth beast had the impression a mountain had fallen onto his back. He released as much strength as he could, but he still felt oppressed. The two fighters were drawing closer and closer to one another. Die! Shouted the eighth beast furiously. His claws became dazzling and golden. They were great oriental greenfinch rock's claws, but there were dragon scales on them, forming a terrifying defense. He was a mixed breed. Lin Feng's clothes were ripped apart by the claws. The strength almost pierced through his skin, his hair bristled. The attack hadn't even reached him, and he was already having a hard time. However, at the same time, he condensed Demon Culpa strength, then moved faster than they could see. Demon lights pulsed out. People's hearts were pounding. Two of his clones also released strength. The eighth beast was stupefied. The clones also have strength. He didn't have time to think too much. He attacked Lin Feng's real body in front of him, the collision raising a strong wind. Red lights and demon lights exploded together. The two clones also attacked. The eighth beast shouted explosively as their energies collided explosively. He blocked one clone, but not the other one. At the same time, Lin Feng's real body came back to him. Lin Feng raised his demon hands, aimed at the eighth beast's head, and there was a crack of impact that astonished those watching. Blood splashed, but the beast didn't escape from Lin Feng. He resisted so many attacks, murmured those watching. Their hearts twitched. He seemed like he wanted to capture the eighth beast. How strong! Who is he? The crowd was astonished. Since when was there such a strong cultivator in the Holy Spirit dynasty? Who are you? Asked someone at that moment. It was a member of the ancient Jade dynasty. She looked furious and she was staring at Lin Feng. The members of the Tianxi dynasty also stood up. Their holy emperor even stood up and stared at Lin Feng. Everybody was staring at Lin Feng. Who am I? Repeated Lin Feng, smiling icily. He looked at the seventh beast and said icily, let her go. Continue fighting. It's not over, replied the seventh beast disdainfully. He hadn't used his full strength yet. I told you to release her, said Lin Feng icily. He condensed strength in his hands again. Many strong cultivators of the animal district finally stood up and pulled a long face. They had raised their 13 geniuses. These people were the future of the animal district. The eighth beast and ninth beast had already amazed everybody, but now that person had captured one of them. They looked at the seventh beast as a sign he had to release that woman. Her life couldn't be compared with the eighth beast's life. Who you looked at Lin Feng, her eyes twinkling. How strong. But why did he want to save her? Who was he? The strong cultivators of the ancient Jade dynasty condensed their strength to bear down on Lin Feng, demanding icily, who are you? Lin Feng looked at them and smiled coldly, what do you think? He took off his mask and his real face appeared, with a dark smile on his face. I'm Lin Feng. When he said that, everybody went silent. Hu Yu was astonished. Suddenly, she smiled broadly, like she had in the past. So that little boy had finally grown up and could take care of his sister. Chapter 2082, Decisive Battle. Yu was astonished. She hadn't thought that little boy would become this strong. Back in the days, she was the one who had to protect him. She remembered back then when she used to take him to all her friends to teach. Back then, emperors could bully Lin Feng easily. Now, he was here and he had captured the 8th beast, just so the animal district would release her. Little boy, Yu smiled. She had the impression she was in a dream. When the 7th beast had told her someone wanted to save her, she would have never thought it would be Lin Feng. Sister Yu, replied Lin Feng, smiling back at her in greeting. At that moment, everybody was staring at Lin Feng. The atmosphere became oppressive. Lin Feng, he didn't die back then during that battle. No wonder he has become so much stronger. It's Lin Feng. No wonder, back then, Lin Feng fought against 8 geniuses, and killed 5. Now, even though the 8th beast is much stronger than those people back then, he can still compete with him. It's not surprising since it's Lin Feng. The crowd was staring at him. Had the animal district captured one of his women? But that woman had to be a beast. The holy emperors of the Qin dynasty and the ancient Jade dynasty had all stood up. They released a terrifying qi towards Lin Feng. He wasn't dead yet. Back then, the ancient holy clans and dynasties wanted to kill Lin Feng and had joined hands. Their 8 geniuses had fought against him and failed. Now, Lin Feng was back and he had shown up without the slightest scruple. Lin Feng, a strong cultivator from the ancient Jade dynasty, spoke up. She asked icily, "You captured our holy princess, right?" They immediately thought of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was wearing a mask just now, and he also used clones. He was extremely good at fighting, and he hated the holy princess. Everything seemed to lead to Lin Feng. The holy Jade princess is so beautiful. After sleeping with her, I made her leave. Hasn't she come back to the ancient Jade dynasty yet? Asked Lin Feng, smiling indifferently. When he said that, everybody was astonished. Lin Feng had raped the holy Jade princess. The members of the ancient Jade dynasty all had unsightly expressions. All the ancient Jade dynasty's beautiful women wanted to kill me back then. However, I don't mind. I love beautiful women. I wish I could deflower all of you. I just had sex with her, anyway. I hope you don't mind, continued Lin Feng, smiling dismissively. The members of the ancient Jade dynasty were furious and released even more energies. But they couldn't say anything. They had joined hands to fight against Lin Feng and they had failed. Now he was back and the Snow clan wasn't there to help. Could they still kill him? Lin Feng was backed up by Shiju Laoxian. Lin Feng also controlled the saint's body. They couldn't do anything to him. They hadn't forgotten what Shiju Laoxian had told them back then. When the crowd remembered those things, they looked amused. Lin Feng could beat the animal district's strong cultivators. He had a powerful background. He was a good fighter. He could compete with the 8th beast and 9th beast. How strong was he in comparison with the other young beast masters? You want your woman to die? Ice-cold bestial qi invaded the atmosphere and the 7th beast grabbed Huyu's head. Lin Feng punched out in the 8th beast's direction and shouted explosively, "If you touch her again, I'll kill him." "Will you dare?" shouted someone from the animal district icily. "Of course I'll dare," replied Lin Feng. Bestial qi surrounded Lin Feng, but he looked incongruently calm as he looked back at them. He said grimly, "If you don't believe me, try and you'll see." The members of the animal district remained silent. A strong cultivator of the animal district looked at Lin Feng calmly, and said to the 7th beast, "Release her." For the animal district, Huyu's life was far less important than the 8th beast's. They had spent so many resources on these people. They had done all they could, using a special technique to raise them. Therefore, the 13 young masters couldn't die. The 7th beast was speechless, but he released Hu Yu, sneering, "Piss off." Hu Yu didn't look at the seventh beast and flashed over to Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was still holding the eighth beast. "We released her already." "What are you waiting for?" demanded the seventh beast icily. "Patience, my friend," said Lin Feng smiling. He said to Hu Yu, "Sister Hu Yu, follow me." Lin Feng grabbed her and flew over to the Holy Spirit Dynasty's Holy Emperor and said to the eighth beast, "You go back." A strong wind crashed onto the eighth beast and flung him away. The seventh beast jumped up to catch the eighth beast and glared at Lin Feng icily. However, Lin Feng was looking at Hu Yu and asked, "Sister Hu Yu, they didn't do anything to you, right?" "They didn't." "Little boy, you progressed so quickly," answered Hu Yu. She still looked sexy in her red robe, and put her arms around him, smiling. "Sister Hu Yu, you haven't changed," said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Hu Yu was so close to him, her beautiful eyes kept twinkling. "I saw you grow up, you don't need to hide anything from me," said Lin Feng, shrugging. He smiled and said, "Anyway, I need to solve this issue." Hu Yu looked at the members of the animal district and then let go of Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the seventh beast and eighth beast, they also looked back at him ferociously. "You want to play so bad?" Lin Feng looked at the two young beast masters, he wanted to fight. These young beast masters were terrifyingly strong. They wanted to show everyone how strong they were. "Of course, we all do." Wu Ju jumped up, his face surrounded by a halo. In his white robe, he looked elegant, confident, and at ease. He smiled at Lin Feng, "I would have never thought you were Lin Feng. You captured the Holy Jade Princess and raped her, you're really audacious. You're as brave as me, if not more so." Lin Feng replied to Wu Ju. Wu Ju had provoked the Holy Jade Princess and Yi Tian Jiao at the same time. He was as strong as he was audacious. "Therefore, together," said Wu Ju with a smile. He slowly walked up to the Qi Tian battle stage, the one on the battle stage was still the ninth beast. "Since you want to play, I'll play with you," said the ninth beast scornfully. "Since you want to play, all together," said Wu Ju indifferently. The eighth beast and seventh beast's bodies turned into red light beams. They both jumped onto the Qi Tian battle stage at the same time and released bestial qi. "If you want to fight, I'd love to," said Lin Feng indifferently. He also jumped onto the Qi Tian battle stage, 5 incredible emperors on the battle stage at the same time. "Who else wants to play?" Wu Ju looked at the people from the dynasties and the holy clans. Actually, he was mainly looking at Saint Tian Hun, who was with the members of the Qin dynasty. A moment before, he had been the only one, along with Lin Feng, who had managed to compete with the eighth beast. He was very strong. Saint Tianhuan's eyes glittered darkly. After that, he slowly stood up, moving as if he had had no bones, and quickly landed on the Qi Tian battle stage. There were now 6 people on the battle stage, all geniuses among emperors. Ordinary emperors couldn't compete with such people. Only people who were extremely talented, good at fighting, and determined could normally become like that, but there were exceptions, Saint Tian Hun the body stealer, and the 13 young beast masters. "Die!" shouted the beasts as they released bestial qi, bursting into motion. The 7th beast threw himself at Lin Feng. The 8th beast attacked Wu Ju. The 9th beast charged Saint Tian Hun. The 3 beasts had a single common point, their bestial qi was explosive. "A bunch of deadly fighters," murmured those watching. No wonder that only 3 people could compete with those beasts. But what about the 10 other beasts? How strong were they? The 7th beast turned into a terrifying red beam of light. It was like an ocean of blood was flooding towards Lin Feng. That blood contained endless skeletons who wanted to eat Lin Feng alive. The terrifying ocean surged closer to Lin Feng. Lin Feng could tell the ocean of blood was much more powerful than his previous opponent's energies. Lin Feng stretched out his hands, fissures appeared, and the ocean of blood divided into two. At the same time, he ran forwards as sound waves destroyed the skeletons in the ocean of blood. Chapter 2083, Venerable Sacrificial Soul. Fire. Lin Feng and the seventh beast fought for the second time. The ocean of blood kept rolling and splashing around them. However, Lin Feng condensed ancient imprints, ancient words appeared around him, resonating with the earth and sky. At the same time, he also released sword energies to surround his body. The sword curtain and the earth and sky became one, and everything in their way broke apart, the ocean of blood turning into endless tiny drops. The seventh beast, who had turned into a blood light, withdrew quickly. He looked at Lin Feng ferociously. The seventh beast's eyes were so bloodshot, it was like wanted to stab Lin Feng with them. He was excited, he had thought he'd kill Lin Feng easily after the sacrifice, but realizing it wasn't the case made him happy. He still had a rictus grin warping one side of his face. At the same time, the eighth beast and Wu Ju were fighting, and the ninth beast and Saint Tianhun were dueling. The battles were dreadful. The three beasts had similar attacks, explosive, brutal, violent. Wu Ju condensed all sorts of strength in his punches, they seemed indestructible. The ninth beast and Saint Tianhun's battle looked less violent and brutal than the two other groups. However, the ninth beast felt different, he was astonished at the saint's strength. It was like Saint Tianhun wanted to absorb his soul. Everybody was astonished and blankly staring at the battle. Those three young beast masters were dreadful foes. They could compete with all the geniuses of Chi Tian Holy Town, no wonder they had challenged everyone. But now there were three people who could match them. At that moment, the seventh beast stretched out his hands and a gigantic weapon appeared. Those watching shuddered with dread. There were bestial marks on it, and its chi was ominous. Animal world brutal weapon, bestial marks axe. Some strong cultivators' eyes glittered when they saw it. That weapon was extremely rare. Ordinary beasts couldn't use and control such weapons. It required many beasts to be sealed inside it, the more beasts the more explosive the weapon was. The seventh beast had probably sacrificed many beasts to create that weapon. The bestial marks axe is terrifying. Lin Feng is extremely strong, but it's getting dangerous for him. Can he compete with the seventh beast? Someone wondered aloud. The seventh beast roared in a thundering rage and jumped forwards. You're quite talented, but now I'm going to offer your blood to my weapon. The seventh beast's axe descended from the sky, fissures in space following it. A terrifying amount of strength fell on Lin Feng. It felt like millions of bloodthirsty beasts were attacking him. Even his godly awareness shook. Lin Feng had a hallucination that he really was surrounded by millions of beasts. Lin Feng raised his hands and condensed more ancient imprints as quickly as possible. The words of his incantation all appeared and surrounded him as he steadfastly stood his ground. At the same time, a holy spirit appeared around him, a demon king or god of death surrounded by death chi. Everything began to rot around him. Lin Feng ran towards the seventh beast, the words from the incantation rotating around him like dark hymns. At the same time, his blood was boiling as he turned into a gigantic axe. Strength pulsed all around him. The bestial axe was a beast's weapon, aggressive and explosive. Swords were sharp and swift. Axes were heavy, so Lin Feng couldn't really use a sword to destroy that axe, so in the end he also used an axe. It was heavier and more aggressive, more appropriate. Lin Feng the axe charged to meet his enemy's weapon. Both were releasing terrifying amounts of chi. They were both using their blood spirit strength, that's how these weapons were made. A terrifying chi bore down on the seventh beast. The seventh beast had the impression he was going to be crushed. The seventh beast raised his axe higher up, strength condensing. The earth and sky kept shaking violently. His blood strength was rising with the beast axe to an astonishing level. The axe tore apart the air, qi filled the air above the Qi Tian battle stage. Axes were explosive weapons, and the seventh beast attacked 9 times in a row, each time shaking the earth and sky. The strength of the axe was monstrous as it collided with Lin Feng's. Dreadful energies exploded unceasingly and made the Qi Tian battle stage shake violently. Crackling sounds sounded as the bestial axe began to crack. It was going to break apart. Lin Feng's gigantic axe relentlessly pressed forwards, and the seventh beast felt pressured. The seventh beast spat out blood. He turned into a red beam of light and retreated as fast as he could. The gigantic axe turned back into Lin Feng. Saint's technique, ancient holy technique. It can oppress anything, as expected. Even the seventh beast was forced to move away. However, he's really extremely strong. He managed to protect himself, and probably wants to continue fighting, murmured the crowd when they saw that. Lin Feng was terrifying, but the young beast masters were also fearsome, especially as they became stronger. On the other side, the battle between the eighth beast and Wu Ju was also becoming more and more dangerous, explosions ringing out about them. Saint Tianhun, at that moment, was surrounded by 81 flames. The ninth beast was astonished at the sight. The seventh beast attacked again, too. He flew towards Lin Feng at full speed, but Lin Feng was charging him, too. Aggressive demon energies swept out. Dozens of swords kept appearing behind him. Lin Feng pointed his finger at the seventh beast and a sword shot out. Saint Tianhun also moved, turning into a shadow, his silhouette becoming blurry. The ninth beast looked ready to battle. However, at that moment, Lin Feng frowned and suddenly turned around. He saw a silhouette moving towards him. The 81 flames were attacking him. Everybody was completely astonished. That person, who had come with the members of the Qin dynasty, was attacking Lin Feng. Even the beasts of the animal district were astonished. The ninth beast released even more qi and ran towards Lin Feng. Qin gone. Holy Emperor Ling suddenly stood up and shouted furiously, Lin Feng and the 2 others are fighting against the animal district and now your guest is backstabbing Lin Feng. It's the Qi Tian battle stage, anyone can fight against anyone as long as they agree, said Qin Gan calmly. He didn't control Saint Tianhun. He didn't know why Saint Tianhun would suddenly attack Lin Feng either. But when he saw that, he shuddered with fear. What did Saint Tianhun intend to do? He felt responsible for both Lin Feng and Saint Tianhun. With the other holy emperors, he had managed to convince Saint Tianhun to join them. It was good for them, but they couldn't control him. As for Lin Feng, he still had their ancestor's body. The members of the ancient Jade dynasty and the Great Desert dynasty remained silent too, naturally. They even looked amused. Even if Saint Tianhun failed, it didn't have anything to do with them. They just knew that Saint Tianhun's strength was terrifying. They couldn't know what spells, techniques and skills he knew though, he was a saint, after all. Lin Feng sensed the 81 flames move towards him, his spirit shaking violently. He grimaced, knowing that fire was dangerous. It was a sacrificial fire, its purpose was to burn his soul. He suddenly released even more death energies. He wanted to extinguish the fire, however, the fire seemed indestructible. Saint Tianhun said telepathically, Venerable sacrificial soul fire, you can't destroy it. Then, the fire pierced through Lin Feng's death Dao strength and shot towards his soul. Lin Feng's face twisted. He hadn't thought such a terrifying cultivator would attack him. It was definitely a holy technique. Chapter 2084, Battle to Death. He practices soul cultivation and he has studied some saints' techniques. It was the first time Lin Feng had to deal with such terrifying cultivators. People who practiced soul cultivation were rare. The first person he had met who did was Mu Chen, and the second one was this opponent. His attack was some kind of sacrificial fire. Apparently, the ninth beast wasn't his main target was Lin Feng. He wanted Lin Feng's soul. If this man managed to succeed, Lin Feng guessed the consequences would be horrible. Lin Feng couldn't let him win. He had to kill him. Lin Feng suddenly sat down cross-legged and dozens of gigantic swords rotated around him and protected him. The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng surprisingly sat down cross-legged before his enemy. Lin Feng had no choice but to use his full strength to protect himself. The ninth beast stopped, wiping off the blood at the corner of his mouth. The seventh beast also looked at Lin Feng, a red light emerging from his third eye and shooting towards Lin Feng. But when it penetrated into Lin Feng's third eye, he was stupefied and his face stiffened. Dazzling lights flashed in his eyes and he looked at Saint Tianhun deeply. What a powerful soul attack! His thread of soul had been instantly destroyed. Some people practice soul cultivation. I understand why they are considered terrifying now, sighed the seventh beast. He didn't continue attacking Lin Feng. Even Wu Ju and the eighth beast stopped fighting. Wu Ju's silhouette flickered, he landed next to Lin Feng and looked at him. Then he looked at Saint Tianhun, who was seated cross-legged as well. He was using his venerable sacrificial soul fire attack. He had to use his full strength to succeed, otherwise, stealing Lin Feng's soul wouldn't be easy at all. The previous time, he had failed to steal Lin Feng's body, but now he had another opportunity and he couldn't let it slip. Lin Feng had the Qin Saint's body, but Saint Tianhun didn't care, as without a soul, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to use it anymore. He was a soul cultivator. Saint Tianhun understood how Lin Feng controlled the saint's body better than anyone. Of course, he wasn't going to tell anyone else about those things. At that moment, Lin Feng used all the Wisdom Kings to protect himself. He had to destroy that damn fire. However, the 81 flames surrounded the 5 Wisdom Kings. They were about to collapse. However, they managed to destroy the flames. One flame was left, but instantly 81 flames appeared again. As long as one flame was left, the other flames could reappear. It was extremely dangerous. Lin Feng's soul suddenly turned into a sharp black sword. It was dark. It emerged from his third eye, and the 81 flames followed as well. At the same time, on the Qi Tian battle stage, Lin Feng's sword and the venerable sacrificial soul fire appeared outside above the Qi Tian battle stage. The darkness of the sword made everything look pale on the Qi Tian battle stage below. Lin Feng also released glittering Devamara Kulpa strength. Lin Feng's soul had been cleansed by Devamara Kulpa strength many times. The 81 flames looked pure and pale. It had been purified many times. Tianhun had used it to burn millions of souls in his life and carry out sacrifices. Then, apart from his soul sword, Lin Feng also released a golden palace. It was dazzling. There were millions of marks on it, marks of the great Tao. Then, the palace surrounded the soul sword. The sword is made of Lin Feng's soul, the palace is made of his godly awareness palace. Lin Feng is worried, those watching could see. The terrifying 81 flames oppressed Lin Feng's soul. At that moment, Lin Feng's body was just a shell, his psychic essences were outside. At the same time, a grey strength emerged from Saint Tianhun and moved towards Lin Feng. It turned into a grey cloud. At the same time, in front of the grey cloud, a pitch-black light appeared and condensed into a long spear which thrust out towards Lin Feng at full speed. However, Saint Tianhun's real body was still seated cross-legged. He wants Lin Feng's physical body. Body capture. Initially, he was fighting against the ninth beast and suddenly he attacked Lin Feng. Is it because of his body? At that moment, the crowd remembered that Lin Feng had an incredible body. He had been on the Holy Way stage and had many secrets. He also had possession of a saint's body. However, this guy wanted to steal Lin Feng's body. What about his current body? Wasn't it his? When the crowd thought about that, they shivered. The animal district had come back to life and now a terrifying cultivator had appeared. Wu Ju moved in front of Lin Feng and looked at the spear moving towards him. Wu Ju looked confident and at ease. This was a soul attack. Ancient imprints emerged from his third eye and turned into a destructive punch. Rumbling sound spread in the air, the long spear broke apart. However, the grey chi penetrated into Lin Feng's third eye. People's faces stiffened. Lin Feng's soul is still there, it hasn't been destroyed, and that guy is trying to steal Lin Feng's body anyway, which means that he perfectly controls his soul strength. The crowd was staring at Lin Feng. The animal district's strong cultivators just watched, including the 3 young beast masters. They had retreated to the edge of the battle stage and were watching. Lin Feng. Who you looked extremely nervous. Saint Tianhun was evil and cruel. Lin Feng was in danger. At that moment, a terrifying sword determination exploded, grey chi splashed out of Lin Feng's third eye. Dual soul. The grey chi hurriedly retreated to Saint Tianhun's third eye. He opened his eyes and looked at the sword spirit in disbelief. What kind of spell had Lin Feng learned? Surprisingly, he had 2 souls, and one of them was indestructible. Soul sacrifice. Saint Tianhun raised a finger and the venerable sacrificial soul fire moved towards Lin Feng's godly awareness palace. However, the godly awareness palace became dazzling and turned into a hall. Lin Feng's soul strength was being cleansed. He was using lots of godly awareness strength, but Saint Tianhun was still astonished. Lin Feng's defenses were astonishing. Tianhun made some hand seals, white flames appeared that seemed like they could destroy anything. The air above the Qi Tian battle stage turned white with heat. That fire was astonishing. The godly awareness palace was burning. The flames then started attacking Lin Feng's soul sword. The sword of darkness kept glittering, and demon culpa strength destroyed the fire. The white fire and the darkness kept intertwining. Everybody understood that this was a battle to the death. Lin Feng might get killed. Even if he has 2 souls, if his soul sword is destroyed, he'll die. The crowd looked at Lin Feng, who was bleeding. He was having a hard time. Of course, Saint Tianhun was also sweating, his soul strength pulsing around him. He would have never thought an emperor could be so strong. He had done so much to become so strong, and now it had become difficult. Lin Feng released cosmic energies which turned into a sharp sword, and then multiplied. They started fusing together, his body changing, and people's hearts started pounding. Everybody's expressions changed as they stared at Lin Feng. He can still move. Wu Ju was amazed. Lin Feng released ancient imprints, a word appeared, and he used the power of his incantation. When he used his incantation attack, his strength became explosive. His real body turned into a sharp sword and streaked across the sky, shooting towards Saint Tianhun. Saint Tianhun's face turned deathly pale as he grimaced. He had thought he had almost succeeded, and yet Lin Feng still had strength to counterattack. He had been waiting for such a moment the whole time. Saint Tianhun was also exhausted. He had done all he could using the venerable sacrificial soul fire. Saint Tianhun waved his hand and many spears shot towards Lin Feng's gigantic sword, exploding against it. At the same time, he looked unhappy and recalled his fire. The 81 flames moved back into his third eye. A gigantic black fist appeared in the air and blocked the gigantic sword and pushed it away. Phew, Saint Tianhun opened his eyes, he was shaking. He didn't look calm and poised anymore. Lin Feng's real body reappeared, his face deathly pale. Nobody could imagine how he felt, but the pressure was incredible. "You're that damn saint," said Lin Feng to Saint Tianhun icily. Everybody's heart started pounding again, a saint. Chapter 2085, Animal District's announcement. Lin Feng had already had to deal with Saint Tianhun in the saint's world at the altar. He had used his soul strength to attack Lin Feng there. Now he had a new body, but still wanted Lin Feng's body. Venerable sacrificial soul fire, holy technique strength, this guy controlled so many saint spells, skills, and techniques. Even the Qin dynasty didn't have such things. He was definitely a saint. When the crowd heard Lin Feng, they looked at Saint Tianhun sharply. A saint? In the crowd, apart from holy emperors, nobody knew the truth, so they were astonished, especially since Saint Tianhun had just tried to steal Lin Feng's body. It meant that it was indeed possible. When stealing someone's body, it was impossible to recover one's own strength completely, so the best thing was still to grow up and become stronger step by step. Therefore, unless they had been killed, cultivators never tried to steal people's bodies. And on top of that, only extremely strong cultivators usually learned the technique. This guy who was extremely strong wanted to give up his body to steal Lin Feng's. It probably meant that the body he had wasn't his own body. I don't know what you mean, replied Saint Tianhun. He naturally wasn't going to admit Lin Feng was right. He hadn't thought that someone would be able to compete with him at the same cultivation level after coming back to life. Perhaps his cultivation level hadn't completely stabilized, otherwise, nobody would have been able to compete with him, including Lin Feng. Back then in the spirit world, you wanted to steal my body. Now the Qin dynasty hid you and helped you come back to life. But you haven't changed, because you're still not satisfied. Master Tianhun, for my body, you're really ready to do anything, spat Lin Feng icily. He was quite strong and still Saint Tianhun had posed a threat to him. At the same cultivation level, a saint who had come back to life was stronger than anyone else with a few exceptions, especially if the body he had captured wasn't powerful enough. He needed time to become really strong again. I'll be merciful this time, said Saint Tianhun, staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was really strong, killing him was difficult, his soul and his new body had to fuse together better for him to be strong enough. He needed to become stronger, then he'd be able to burn Lin Feng's soul with his venerable sacrificial soul fire and be able to capture his body. Saint Tianhun jumped off the Qi Tian battle stage. He had used too much strength against Lin Feng, and couldn't continue fighting. He was a saint, his goal wasn't to defeat the animal district's cultivators, but to become stronger and then become one of the strongest cultivators of the continent of the Nine Clouds once again. He was convinced that the members of the animal district had the same goal. Lin Feng ignored Saint Tianhun. Since he was a saint who had come back to life, Lin Feng couldn't kill him easily. He felt under pressure though. The saint would progress quickly, and the saint's memories were precious treasures. At that moment, Lin Feng nodded at Wu Ju. He smiled and said, "Why did you help me?" "I helped you," replied Wu Ju airily, which naturally made Lin Feng smile. He didn't say anything else. Wu Ju was an interesting guy and a strong fighter. Lin Feng looked at the seventh beast and said indifferently, "You're still not strong enough." He jumped off the Qi Tian battle stage. Like Saint Tianhun, he had used too much strength and felt tired. That soul fire technique was too powerful, he was injured. "Everybody, come back," said a strong cultivator of the animal district calmly. The three young beast masters also withdrew. Thousands of years have passed, there are still some geniuses in Qi Tian Holy Town. However, they are disappointing. Almost nobody has the potential to become a peerless cultivator someday, said the strong cultivator of the animal district calmly. He remained seated. Lin Feng and the two others were exceptions, they were geniuses and it was normal, but that one who was staying with the members of the Qi Tian Holy Town was a saint, so he didn't even count if that was the case. When the crowd heard him, they were speechless. The animal district had come back to life and those battles were a way to show it to everyone. At that moment, a strong wind started blowing. The crowd saw a young beast master rise up in the air. It was the first one, a great emperor. He glanced at all the strong cultivators of Qi Tian Holy Town. Suddenly, he waved his hands, and in a flash, bestial Qi rose up in the air. A dragon, a unicorn, a turtle, and a wind beast streaked across the sky and two gigantic words appeared in the sky, Animal District. Then, the first beast master said indifferently, "From today, humans are prohibited from going to the animal district in a circumference of 3,000 li. The animal district is back in town." Then, he returned to his place. People's hearts started pounding violently. The first young beast master was terrifyingly strong. They hadn't seen how strong he was, but he was probably as strong as Shui Ao from the Snow Clan. Lin Feng went back to the group of people from the Holy Spirit dynasty and looked at the two gigantic words in the sky. He was impressed. The animal district had just come back to life, and they were astonishingly strong. At that moment, Lin Feng realized that he didn't belong to the same world as before anymore. He was already starting to fight against the strongest cultivators of his generation. He had started in a small world, then he had gone to the 9 great celestial castles, traveled around in the great world, gone to the vast celestial ancient city, then to the holy city in Chi Tian Holy Town, and now his activities involved the whole Dark Night region. It all would have been unthinkable many years before. Yu would have never thought it was possible for him to progress so fast, for example. Lin Feng was so strong that almost no emperor could fight against him anymore. Yu understood that there was a huge difference between people who had reached the top of the Huang Qi layer, and people who had the potential to become peerless cultivators and were at the top of the Huang Qi layer. Many people could reach the top of the Huang Qi layer, but few people had the potential to become peerless cultivators someday. Someday, they'd have no enemies at all. At that moment, the strong cultivators of the animal district stood up and left without saying any more. Their bestial qi dispersed as they disappeared from people's field of vision. The animal district has announced they have come back. In the future, they'll probably become the strongest cultivators in town, someone murmured. They were worried. "Everybody, go back," said Qin Gon indifferently after standing up. Everybody remained silent. This battle had been too shocking, and the dynasties had lost face. "Lin Feng," said someone from the ancient Jade dynasty's side, "where's the holy Jade princess? Maybe that she didn't want to go back to the ancient Jade dynasty after we had sex. How could I know where she is or what she thinks?" "Go and ask her," replied Lin Feng, waving his hand dismissively. Would the ancient Jade dynasty have to choose a new holy woman? The ancient Jade dynasty had no solution. After the crowd left, the battle stage was still floating in the air. It had witnessed countless battles in history. Now the animal district had oppressed all the dynasties on it, and they had announced nobody could go into their territory anymore. Perhaps other beasts would come to Chi Tian Holy Town to join them in the future. From one day to the next, things had changed in Chi Tian Holy Town. After that, Lin Feng waited outside the Holy Spirit dynasty and received some guests, mostly Tiantai's strong cultivators, Ho Qing Lin, Tian Qi, Roa Xie, Tantai, Huang Fu Long, and the others. They had all come. There were many other cultivators from Tiantai, including people who had joined after them. Lin Feng was happy to see them. Holy Dynasty Prince. They walked on the Holy Dynasty Prince's territory and realized everyone was bowing before Lin Feng respectfully. He was their Holy Dynasty Prince. Lin Feng had been one of 3 people who had been able to compete with the beast masters of the animal district. The Holy Spirit dynasty was quite happy about that. Lin Feng nodded at everyone. Tantai smiled. "Lin Feng, you have a high position here. The Holy Spirit dynasty and I have excellent relations. Why did you come here, guys?" asked Lin Feng to his friends. "We need to travel to become stronger at our cultivation level. Many people from Tiantai are already high-level emperors. We want to travel in the Dark Night region. We want to try and become great emperors," said Ho Qin Lin calmly. Lin Feng nodded agreement. Traveling and seeing many strong cultivators was a good way to become stronger. Chapter 2086, Mu Chen's news. Lin Feng took them to a palace. Holy Emperor Ling welcomed them personally. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Lin Feng, these young people are all outstanding. Are they our friends?" They're all from Champion University, and some of them come from the small world like me. We're like brothers and sisters, Lin Feng said to Holy Emperor Ling. Holy Emperor Ling nodded and smiled. Your friends are outstanding and extraordinary. In a few years, they'll amaze the whole region. Naturally. I hope they will all reach the maximum level on the path of cultivation and become peerless cultivators, Lin Feng said calmly. He sounded incredibly confident. He had faith in himself, but also in Ho Chin Lin and the others. They had all received the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures, as well as many other precious treasures. If they were determined enough, they could all become peerless cultivators. They just needed to practice, to be determined, and to give all they could. Back then, Ho Chin Lin and Jian Mang had tried to go onto the Holy Way stage. 2 more steps, their blood and body as well as potential needed to be improved, but their determination was not a problem at all. Lin Feng's Kulpa Indestructible Devamara skill and his Devamara Kulpa Strength Cleansing technique were perfect for him, so in terms of body, there was no problem, but might not be good enough for them. When Holy Emperor Ling heard Lin Feng, he smiled to himself. Lin Feng was young and arrogant sometimes, but he could be that way because he was strong enough. When the Beast Masters had shown up, Lin Feng had remained fearless. He had even made the 7th beast flinch. The saint had even attacked him by surprise, but had failed. Holy Emperor Ling was convinced that if Lin Feng didn't die, he'd become a peerless cultivator sooner or later. Since they're your friends, they can come in, Holy Emperor Ling said cheerfully, nodding at everyone. He organized a banquet for them, everyone sat down and Holy Emperor Ling asked, Lin Feng, the animal district came back, do you know why? There's something secret going on, asked Lin Feng, intrigued. Maybe that they're not only interested in Chi Tian Holy Town, maybe they want the Beast Masters to get ready for the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, proposed Holy Emperor Ling calmly. Lin Feng frowned, not understanding. The continent of the 9 clouds is divided into several regions, godly clouds, dark clouds, green jade clouds, red clouds, bright clouds, jade clouds, blue pale clouds, purple clouds, supreme clouds. People rarely travel between the different regions because there are only 2 ways of traveling between regions. The first one is to cross the celestial country, and the second way is to use an empty space tunnel. People who have the strength of the Huang Qi layer and under can cross the celestial country, but great emperors have no choice but to use an empty space tunnel. Therefore, people rarely have news about the other regions, Holy Emperor Ling said calmly. He had lived for many years, and he had been to another region only once. Do cultivators practice cultivation the same way as we do in other regions? Lin Feng asked him. We can all reach the same goal by different routes, all roads lead to the capital. They are cultivators like us, but they have different methods. I've heard that in red clouds, people are incredible doctors. I've heard that in blue pale clouds, there are many terrifying sword cultivators. People practice cultivation differently depending on where they're from. Godly clouds is the central part of the continent of the 9 clouds, and it's also the strongest region, all the schools of thought contend there. Many geniuses like you, who have the potential to become peerless cultivators, want to go there to see the strongest geniuses of the world. What is that meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds? Where is it and who can go? Asked Lin Feng. He had heard of the regions of the continent of the 9 clouds, 9 regions, 1 in the middle, 8 around it. Godly clouds was the only region which had a border with the other 8 regions. The other 8 regions only had 3 borders with other regions, and they all shared a border with godly clouds. The meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds takes place every 100 years. The shrines organize it. This time, I think Destiny Shrine is in charge of the next one. The different shrines handle the event once every 1,000 years. This time, it's Destiny Shrine's turn again. I wonder who will be fortunate this time, said Holy Emperor Ling. When Lin Feng heard that, his heart started pounding. So does that mean the Destiny Shrine will recruit people? Asked Ho Chin Lin, also remembering the Destiny Shrine, unable to restrain himself. Indeed, the Destiny Shrine will recruit people, the lucky ones will reach the apex in terms of power. A shrine, replied Holy Emperor Ling. The shrines recruited people based on two kinds of circumstances: when they attached importance to someone they bumped into, mostly people who had king-type bodies, or people who proved they were strong during the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Therefore, people who came from shrines were all terrifyingly strong, and it was extremely beneficial for their families, like the He clan from Tianyuan ancient city. They had some disciples in the Destiny Shrine. Because Godly Clouds was a region well connected to the shrines, many people wanted to go there. It was also why Godly Clouds was the strongest region. So the animal district raised those 13 young beast masters to enable them to go to Godly Clouds, murmured Lin Feng. Holy Emperor Ling nodded. Indeed, they want their young masters to go to the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds. There are also ones who want to become the first master of our region, the Dark Night region. Wuju is an example, and that's why the Wuju Holy Palace wants Wuju to have children before leaving. If Wuju dies abroad, then they won't have any more descendants. When Lin Feng heard that, he smiled. Wuju really did want to have children with Yi Tianjiao. The fact made Lin Feng laugh. He had thought the other was joking. Anyway, the strongest cultivators of the continent of the Nine Clouds were progressing quickly. They had to, for the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and to be the foremost cultivators of the region, too. Who would come back safe and sound, though? Only the strongest cultivators. We don't have geniuses in the Holy Spirit dynasty. Lin Feng, don't miss this opportunity. The meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds is not just about being recruited as a disciple by a shrine, it's also an incredible opportunity to receive priceless treasures, Holy Emperor Ling told Lin Feng. Lin Feng was only one step away from reaching the top of the Huangqi layer. At that level, Lin Feng would become terrifyingly strong. Even though Lin Feng was still unable to dazzle at the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds, he had time to progress. Lin Feng muttered to himself irresolutely, saying nothing. He didn't want to miss the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds, obviously. At that moment, Lin Feng looked over at Ho Qing Lin. They lowered their heads and remained silent. They looked unhappy. Second fellow disciple, third fellow disciple, Ruo Xie, Xingzhan, Ban Ruo, didn't you all come out just to practice cultivation? Lin Feng's eyes glittered. If they had just come out to practice, why would they stay in such a big group? Brother, has anything happened? Asked Lin Feng. Ho Qing Lin was stupefied. He raised his head and looked at Lin Feng. Then, he looked at Holy Emperor Ling. Holy Emperor Ling smiled and said, I'm off. If you need me, please ask for me, all of you. The Holy Emperor left. Lin Feng was sure there was a problem now. Brother, what's going on? Asked Lin Feng again. Ho Qing Lin raised his head again, looked at Lin Feng, took a deep breath and said, Brother, we have news from Mu Chen. Mu Chen. Lin Feng's eyes glittered and he asked, where is he? I didn't want to tell you at first, but since you want to leave for Godly Clouds, I have no choice but to tell you. When we left the small world back then, Mu Chen and Emperor Yu were connected by a thread of soul, and they had also exchanged jade talismans. Mu Chen's soul jade talisman is cracking, said Ho Qing Lin. Lin Feng's heart twitched and his face turned deathly pale. He clenched his fists. Is it broken? He asked. It's not. It's strange. It's all cracked, it looks like a spider web. But it's not broken. He must be in danger. And Emperor Yu has received some news from him through a thread of soul. Said Ho Qing Lin. He looked extremely nervous as he ground his teeth. He continued, he told Emperor Yu that if he reincarnated, they'd still be like brothers. He also said that Godly Clouds would be his burial site, and that he had had a worthy life. He doesn't want his death to be avenged and he asked Emperor Yu not to tell us about it. Mu Chen went to Godly Clouds. Lin Feng's face stiffened. In the Dark Night region, it would have been okay, but Godly Clouds was another story. How could they find him there? And from the message he had passed on, he had encountered a terrifying enemy. Otherwise, he would have never told them not to avenge his death. But why is his talisman only fissured and not broken? Yes, we don't know how, when, or why. Emperor Yu wanted to go and find him alone, but we stopped him. Then we decided to go and look for him ourselves, and asked the university to look after him. Brother, how could you hide the truth from me? Shouted Lin Feng furiously. It was the first time he was angry at Ho Qing Lin. How could they want to go to Godly Clouds without him? Lin Feng, Shi Ju Lao Xian, and you have an agreement. Meng Qing is pregnant, we wanted to protect you. And if anything happens to us in Godly Clouds, at least you'll be able to avenge our deaths. After all, you are the most talented of all of us, sighed Wuxia. But since you also want to go to Godly Clouds, then we can go together. Lin Feng tried to calm down, but it was difficult. He said, Tiantai's disciples, all like brothers and sisters. Chapter 2087, Judgment Day City. The members of Tiantai remained silent for a few seconds and then nodded. Tiantai's disciples, all like brothers and sisters. Even if we find Godly Clouds, how will we find our brother? Asked Lin Feng. They had to find him quickly, but it was easier said than done. The ancestors of the university can help. They prepared some great imperial weapons for us, including some soul-locking bells. Emperor Yu put Mu Chen's soul thread in the soul-locking bells, it can help us find him. Therefore, if we find Godly Clouds, we can find where he is. Of course, as long as, Ho Qing Lin trailed off. Mu Chen wasn't dead yet, but his talisman was cracked. The matter should not be delayed. Let's get ready to leave, said Lin Feng. They had to rescue Mu Chen. Lin Feng revered his dear teacher Mu Chen. Alright, good. We have a map. The border city between Godly Clouds and the Dark Night region is Judgment Day City. It's also one of the 18 main cities of the region. It's on the edge of the region. We should go to Judgment Day City first and then we'll use an empty space tunnel to travel to Godly Clouds. Judgment Day City was the most special town in the Dark Night region, due to its location as a border city with Godly Clouds. Some extremely strong cultivators sometimes used the empty space tunnel and went there. It was quite chaotic there sometimes. Sometimes extremely strong cultivators killed people to steal their treasures. Hence the name, Judgment Day City. I need to go and see my son first, said Lin Feng to Ho Qing Lin. Ho Qing Lin and the others were astonished. Child. Lin Feng, you. Lin Feng smiled and said, you don't know yet, right? I have a son in the Holy Spirit dynasty too, his name is Lin Qiongsheng. Is it Meng Qing's dash? No. Lin Feng interrupted him and said, come with me. His friends followed him to a courtyard. Yu Yu was playing with Lin Qiongsheng, and when the child saw those people, he was curious. Brothers, that's my wife, Tang Yu Yu, said Lin Feng, pointing at Tang Yu Yu. Ho Qing Lin and the others were astonished. They had all heard Tiantai talk about that battle when all the dynasties had surrounded Lin Feng back then. A beautiful woman had almost died in Lin Feng's arms, that had been Tang Yu Yu. They hadn't thought Lin Feng would have a child with her. Qiongsheng, come, greet your uncles and aunts, said Lin Feng, grabbing Lin Qiongsheng's hand. The little boy looked at the crowd and said, uncles and aunties. Good little boy. He is already a Tian-level cultivator. Ho Qing Lin hugged Lin Qiongsheng and lifted him, smiling and saying, Lin Feng, that little boy is already much stronger than us back in the days, he's growing up in an adequate environment. Indeed. When he's older, we'll make him go through some hardships, said Lin Feng smiled. Cultivation couldn't be easy. Lin Feng, you should bring him to my tribe, but as a Tian-level cultivator, it's already a pity, said Tiantai looking at the child. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. Tiantai's tribe raised young people differently. They didn't let them break through too quickly, they suddenly became much stronger after many years. You, I'm going to godly clouds with my friends. Please stay here, Lin Feng said to Tang Yu. I'll come with you. The Holy Spirit dynasty will take care of Qiongsheng, Tang Yu said to Lin Feng. Alright, you can stay in that world then, said Lin Feng, caressing Tang Yu's cheeks. She understood and nodded. How cool, said Tan Tai. Everybody burst into laughter. Lin Feng turned around and punched Tan Tai's shoulder. Lin Feng prepared some things for the trip. He also said goodbye to the Holy Spirit dynasty's cultivators, they weren't going to prevent Yu and him from leaving. As long as Lin Qiongsheng stayed with them, it was fine. Lin Feng and the others left for Judgment Day City. On the same day, 13 cultivators from the Animal Dynasty left, as well. When the strong cultivators of the different dynasties saw them, they were startled. The 13 strong cultivators were going to try their luck abroad. These days, the Animal District had proved they were stable and extremely strong, nobody would dare attack them. The 13 strong cultivators had to rise. In Wuju's holy palace, Wuju was lying in bed with a beautiful woman and said, "Wait for me, I'll come back." Tian Jiao looked at him furiously, wanting to kill him. Her lips bled. She still had mixed feelings. Wuju was a bastard, but he had managed to bring her back to have a child. "I know you'll miss me," said Wuju smiling. He kissed her on the lips and said, "I'll come back as a hero and we'll have a real wedding ceremony." "You think I'll raise your child?" spat Tian Jiao icily. "We've been together for a few days already, why act like that? Wait for me, I'll come back." Wuju caressed her cheeks and left. Then, he rose up in the air and left, he looked confident and at ease. Tian Jiao's face was deathly pale, she was furious, that bastard. During those days, another group of strong cultivators, including Saint Tian Hun, left. There were many people from different dynasties, including a lot of great emperors. They all had one goal, Judgment Day City. Every 100 years, Judgment Day City hosted many strong cultivators. It was a very ancient city. Every 100 years, the atmosphere became chaotic. The price to go to godly clouds was more expensive each time, the people who controlled the empty space tunnel kept increasing the price. Because of that, many people killed other people to steal their treasures to pay for the trip. Many strong cultivators from remote places went there and realized that they still didn't have enough precious items to pay for a trip even though some of them took everything their family owned. Most grew desperate. Going to godly clouds wasn't easy. Apart from that, the economic competition was also fierce, but doing business in Judgment Day City was a flourishing activity since it was a border city. Besides, every 100 years, many people also realized, when arriving, that the tickets for the empty space tunnel were sold out, fully booked. However, some people who had bought them in advance sold them at terrifying prices. The people who controlled the empty space tunnel formed an alliance. 7 ancient holy clans had joined hands to control it, and had a great deal of power in Judgment Day City. Nobody dared attack them, so they were very rich. Otherwise, people would have destroyed them, they owned such a terrifyingly profitable business. At that moment, outside of the station, Lin Feng and the others asked some people about how to go to godly clouds. They were stunned. They learned that special boats were required to use the empty space tunnel, and they were extremely rare. Only one boat left every 3 months, and a boat could only accommodate 100 people, it was far from enough. Therefore, people were sometimes here for years before going to godly clouds. Now, even though they were near godly clouds, it would be difficult for them to get tickets, especially since it was a peak period. What bastards! There aren't any tickets left for the boat in 3 months, and since you can buy tickets for a later date, because of them, we can't go to godly clouds, swore Tantai angrily. He was even wondering whether they were doing such a thing on purpose. It's normal. That way, if you really want to buy a ticket, you must buy it at 10 times the price, said Ho Chin Lin. He remained calm. They needed to find another way, and in any case, Ho Chin Lin would have bought tickets if possible and sold them at a much higher price. He would have been a good businessman. So should we wait for 3 months, asked Tan Tai. You can't get a ticket even if you wait, you'll just wait in vain, you won't get a ticket, said Lin Feng, we need to find another way to get tickets. Alright, let's go and see the auction house, said Ho Chin Lin. The group had heard that Doomsday Auction House was the biggest auction house of Judgment Day City. 3 tickets were sold there every day. Lin Feng and the others were furious. Who would wait for so long? There were more and more people every day in Judgment Day City, which meant that if you waited, it got more and more difficult to get a ticket. For example, on the first day, there were 1,000 people for 3 tickets, on the second day, there were 2,000 people for 3 tickets and so on. How cruel. Apart from Doomsday Auction House, the other auction houses had even less tickets, 1 every day. Getting tickets wasn't easy at all. Chapter 2088, Auctions. The Doomsday Auction House was an imposing auction house. Nobody had the advantage there, everybody was treated equally. When Lin Feng and the others arrived, they were stunned and speechless. It was incredible, there were so many people. If someone obtained a precious treasure in front of everyone, wouldn't the strongest cultivators want to steal it from them? Lin Feng and the others didn't know what to think. At that moment, there were many people already. They had been waiting since the beginning. Lin Feng and the others joined the crowd and sat down high up in the bleachers. Since there were only 3 tickets every day, they wanted to obtain the first one at least. They couldn't waste time. Brother, you have the soul-locking bells, how's Mu Chen? Asked Lin Feng to Ho Chin Lin. He must be fine. We need to hurry, said Ho Chin Lin, nodding while inspecting the soul-locking bells. Yes, I'll sit elsewhere, we can't show everyone we know one another, it's safer, said Lin Feng. He stood up and went down the bleachers. After a short time, Lin Feng arrived at the front lines. He saw a row where only one woman was seated. Some people waved at Lin Feng and said, Your Excellency, please go elsewhere. Are there private rows in the auction house? Asked Lin Feng with a caustic smile, but he didn't insist. He just sat down in the 3rd row, the auctions were going to start. That woman is protected by great emperors, she must be from an ancient clan, thought Lin Feng. He didn't mind though. He didn't need to. Ho Chin Lin and the others didn't show they knew Lin Feng. If Lin Feng got a ticket, it wouldn't be easy to find him. One person was more difficult to find than a group of people. More and more people arrived. The place was vast, but it was comparatively silent. Nobody talked, and when they did, they just whispered. Finally, some people from the auction house appeared at the same time. They carried all sorts of boxes and chests. They didn't put anything in rings. The manager was a middle-aged man. He had an imposing appearance, and was a great emperor. Same old rules, offer a good price, there is no base price, said the middle-aged man, showing off a box. Everybody heard him clearly. We have to choose without seeing the item. Lin Feng was stupefied. The Doomsday Auction House was strange. Someone next to Lin Feng whispered, Doomsday Auction House's rules, you can't see the first 3 items, it's all luck. What if it's a bad item? Asked Lin Feng. Well then, you have no choice but to accept your fate, replied the person. Lin Feng was speechless. Then the person continued, of course, sometimes items are sold at a very low price and in the end were very precious, in which case many people regret not having bought it. Of course, the auctions are about luck too, you can't get all the items, there are so many people. Lin Feng understood. Only big auction houses could do such a thing because they constantly had many people. Maybe it was good, maybe not. So the first 3 items always belonged to the Doomsday Auction House. Wrong. All the items belong to them. If you want to sell your things here, you can't. If you want to sell something here, they buy it from you at a price which corresponds to your expectations and their calculations, and then when it's theirs, they sell it. Of course, if your item is incredible, the doomsday auction house will be fair. The price at which they sell items you sold them has nothing to do with you anymore, even if they get an incredible price for it. Interesting. Lin Feng smiled. Many people started shouting prices. They didn't know what the item was, so nobody proposed a terrifying price. Most people were proposing imperial weapons or ordinary scriptures, and sometimes some strange things. Great imperial scriptures, rotten hell ocean, rotting strength, it makes people's blood rot instantly, it's perfect for people who control death cosmic energies, said Lin Feng calmly at that moment. Instantly, many people looked at him, great imperial scriptures. And it was a very rare book. For an unknown item, it was a bit too much. The middle-aged man on stage looked at Lin Feng and smiled indifferently. Anyone else? Nobody said anything. Rare great imperial scriptures were already too much. Alright, congratulations, you obtained the first item. When the third item is sold, you can come and pick up your item, said the middle-aged man, nodding calmly. He took out a second box and lifted it without saying anything. He had nothing to say, so he remained silent. It seemed even more mysterious. Yellow Spirit's great imperial scriptures, they teach you how to condense yellow springs in your fingers and kill people, it makes them fall into the yellow springs, said Lin Feng again. The crowd frowned. An eerie silence took over. However, at that moment, Lin Feng looked calm and serene as if he hadn't been proposing great imperial scriptures. Lin Feng had spent much time in the celestial country, and had killed so many people, obtaining many ancient scriptures. All the books he had obtained were perfect for people who controlled death strength. He had obtained so many great imperial scriptures from hell. He had lots of books and all of them were precious, why not exchange them if he didn't need them? Nobody tried to get the second item. When the man took out the third box, and Lin Feng proposed another great imperial scripture from hell, everyone was staring at him. That guy had so many ancient scriptures. He had just decided to exchange 3 great imperial scriptures against 3 unknown items. For Lin Feng, it didn't matter, he didn't care about those great imperial scriptures. He hoped he'd get something great, though. Your Excellency, please come and get your items, said the middle-aged man nodding at Lin Feng. Lin Feng rose up in the air, however, at that moment, people in front of him suddenly turned around and shouted furiously, "How insolent! Get down to go out." If Lin Feng wanted to fly, he had to fly above that woman's head. He glanced at them unhappily. They had prevented him from sitting where he wanted and now they didn't want to let him fly. What was wrong with them? Who was being insolent? Lin Feng ignored them and continued flying forwards. He looked at the woman and said, "Miss." The woman looked wealthy and noble. She just waved at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had just obtained 3 precious treasures, but she didn't even look at him. Lin Feng exchanged his scriptures against the 3 items, then he looked at the woman and said, "You want me to fly or walk?" "Sit here," said the woman, pointing at the seat next to her and smiling. Lin Feng was surprised and nodded, "If they hadn't stopped me, I would have sat here with you earlier." He calmly sat down next to her. Her guards looked at him icily. The middle-aged man of the auction house looked at Lin Feng in a strange way, but quickly returned to normal and smiled. "All right, the next item is a great imperial talisman. It doesn't contain a deployment spell anymore, but there are still traces inside. Powerful deployment spellcasters can benefit from it because it'll be easier to carve great imperial deployment spells on it, and you can use it several times. Please bid." Lin Feng's heart twitched. He had carved many deployment talismans before coming to Judgment Day City. He hadn't thought he'd see a great imperial talisman here. He really wanted to obtain it. Great imperial scriptures, huge vigorous lion chi, extremely powerful, increases a cultivator's strength, gives a cultivator the power of a great imperial beast, one roar can crush a cultivator's heart, said the woman next to Lin Feng calmly. She immediately proposed great imperial scriptures, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.